Hello. Please deposit your brain here. Azimuth will perform an upgrade. This is the sign-in area. Please check in to receive your Omnitrix template. Handsome men and beautiful women, daily check-in spot. In the middle of Bellwood, on a crowded pedestrian street, a burly old man in a Hawaiian shirt sat on a bench, staring at the data on his handheld computer in disbelief. Ethen, 12 years old, apprentice plumber. Even considering Ethen's talented parents, this was insane. Grandpa Max rubbed his temples. As one of the most seasoned plumbers alive, he had never heard of a case like this. 12 years old, becoming a plumber? Grandpa Max. A familiar voice came from behind him. A young man with short black hair, a clean fade, and an oversized t-shirt walked over. Calm face, sharp features. Handsome enough that passing girls stole glances. Ethen, how did you become an apprentice plumber? Max asked, eyes fixed on the silver badge pinned to Ethen's chest. Ethen smiled. We'll be together for 2 months, right? You'll find out soon. Max let out a helpless laugh. Your evaluation lined up with my grandkid's summer trip, so I guess I'm your examiner. A spark lit in Ethen's eyes. The story was finally beginning. He was a transmigrator, a soul who'd crossed into the world of Ben 10. His parents had once been plumbers in Bellwood, but they died when he was an infant, leaving him to grow up in an orphanage. Max had visited him often, treating him like family. And earlier that year, Ethen finally became an apprentice plumber. Just how strong is this kid? Max muttered. Suddenly, whoosh, a school bus barreled down the road, engine screaming. Inside, children were shouting in terror. The driver stomped the brakes. Nothing happened. Brake failure. Max shot up. Ethen, come on. We have to move. But Ethen didn't budge. Instead, he whispered in his mind. System, claim today's Omnitrix template. Ding. Congratulations. Host has claimed original Omnitrix, max level edition. Contains tens of thousands of DNA samples. Unlimited transformation time. Freeform switching. A bright green glow burst from Ethen's wrist as a sleek Omnitrix formed out of thin air. Max froze. Omnitrix and spatial manifestation. Ethen tapped the dial, turned the core, and locked onto a form. Fwash! Green light consumed him as DNA particles wrapped around his body. A slim, blue alien with a visor and wheel-shaped feet stood where Ethen had been. Aquinas Celerin, XLR8. Max gasped. I've got it, XLR8 said, mask snapping shut. He shot forward like a bolt of blue lightning, reaching the bus in seconds. Planting both hands on the front bumper, he ran backward, legs spinning at impossible speed. Is that an alien? The driver yelled. He's the Bellwood alien hero, a student shouted. XLR8 pushed harder, sparks flying beneath his feet. Inch by inch, the bus slowed. Screech. It stopped completely. Cheers erupted. Then, click. The bus rolled back a few feet. Sorry about that, XLR8 said, steadying it again with one hand. Sunlight gleamed off his visor. Kicked a little too hard. Screams and cheers filled the street. Kids begged for autographs. Bystanders pulled out their phones. Max watched from afar, shaking his head. Calling him an apprentice feels like an understatement. When the crowd finally dispersed, XLR8 returned to Max and shifted back into human form. All done, Grandpa Max. Max chuckled. Just call me Grandpa. And how long have you had that watch? Ethen shrugged. Half a year. 6 months. That was when his daily sign-in system appeared, handing him a new Omnitrix template every day. He had mastered more alien forms than Max could imagine. Well, Max said, patting his shoulder, this summer's going to be interesting. Time to meet Ben and Gwen. Later that day, Ethen met the famous duo. Ben, with messy brown hair and his usual grin, scratched the back of his neck. Ethen, when we first met, I got stuck in that tree because, I was observing nature. Environmentalist stuff. Gwen snorted. You were showing off and got stuck. Maybe try eating fewer snacks if you want to climb better. Do you have to embarrass me in front of my new friend? Ethen couldn't help but laugh. It was exactly like the show he grew up watching. This summer was going to be good. Ben eyed the Omnitrix on Ethen's wrist. That watch is awesome. Where'd you buy it? Found it, Ethen said casually. Maybe you'll find one too. Yeah, right, Ben muttered. That evening, Grandpa Max parked the rusty RV at a forest campsite. Ben wandered off for a walk, just like in the original timeline. And at that moment, fate quietly began to shift. Ethen sat on a bench beside Gwen, chatting casually as night settled over the campsite. Every so often, his eyes drifted to the forest beyond the trees, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Deep in the woods, thin streaks of smoke curled upward, followed by flashes of fire. And the flames were spreading fast. Someone was burning the forest down. Ding. Mission. Ben Tennyson's criminal path issued. Objective. Stop Ben from accidentally setting the forest on fire and derailing his future. Reward. 5 points. Ethen's eyes lit up. The system was handing out a mission. After each daily check-in, the system occasionally dropped special tasks. Completing them earned reward points, currency he could use to strengthen his body, learn powers, or permanently store Omnitrix templates. Simply put, reward points were everything. Suddenly, boom, boom, boom. Ethen, I'm on fire. A familiar panicked scream echoed through the woods as flames came roaring toward the campsite. The forest erupted into a blazing inferno, heat rolling over them like a tidal wave. What's going on? Gwen gasped. Max squinted toward the fire. The woods are burning, and someone shouting from that direction. Ethen's lip twitched. Don't tell me Ben transformed and sprinted straight at us. This was getting chaotic fast. Rumble. Flames surged forward. In the middle of the inferno, heat blast, Ben froze, horrified by the destruction he'd caused. A whoops. A massive pillar of fire barreled toward Gwen. Move. Max grabbed her, yanking her back. He reached for Ethen, but Ethen was already gone. He stepped in front of the flames, calm, tapping the Omnitrix on his wrist. Ethen, be careful, Gwen shouted. How are you going to stop a forest fire alone? Max yelled. Click. A burst of bright green light swallowed Ethen. When it faded, a tall, slender alien stood in his place, black and white body, long limbs crackling with electricity. Yellow fins behind his head glowed like lightning rods. Feedback. Sparks rippled across his arms as he stepped forward. A wall of fire rushed at him and vanished. The flames were drawn straight into Feedback's body, swallowed like steam into a vent. He let out a slow breath. Refreshing. Fire surged again. Feedback inhaled, absorbing it all, leaving nothing but smoke hanging in the air. Gwen stared. Is this real? Max could barely speak. A 12-year-old apprentice doing this. Feedback raised both hands. Electricity danced between his fingers. Time for a fire break. A barrage of lightning fired from his palms, slicing through the trees. Trunks crashed down, forming a clean barrier that stopped the blaze from spreading. Far behind, Heat Blast hovered awkwardly. Ethen, how do you even have that alien? That's cheating. Ethen, Max called. There's still fire deeper in the woods. On it, Feedback twisted the Omnitrix. Whoosh, another green flash, and he transformed again, this time into a towering, blue-armored alien with barnacle-like cannons on his arms. Water hazard. He lifted his arms. Ben, move. Rumble. Twin jets of high-pressure water blasted from his palms, sweeping through the forest and extinguishing the flames in seconds. Heat Blast barely dodged the incoming flood, flames sputtering from the soles of his feet as he shot upward. Water Hazard raised his arms again, firing a final burst into the sky. Moments later, cool rain began to fall across the forest, putting out the last remaining embers. The woods fell quiet. Smoke drifted upward, mixing with the fresh rain. Ding. Mission complete, plus 5 points. Water Hazard smirked. Ben, stop running around. We'll talk later. Wait, Ben. Gwen's eyes widened. So my cousin and my new friend are aliens? She turned to Max slowly. Grandpa, you're not secretly an alien too, right? Max opened his mouth, then shut it again. 2 Omnitrix users in one day? Even he wasn't prepared for that. Meanwhile, aboard Vilgax's ship, inside a dark chamber, Vilgax floated in a regeneration pod, his body still damaged from his last defeat. His eyes snapped open. Report. Any Omnitrix signals detected? A robotic attendant bowed. Yes, Lord Vilgax. Not one, but two Omnitrix signals on Earth. Vilgax's eyes burned with rage. Two. That traitor Asmith built another one. What is he scheming now? Your orders, my lord. Vilgax roared, sending bubbles swirling through the pod fluid. Deploy the drones. Send every last unit to Earth and retrieve both Omnitrixes, no matter the cost. A hatch opened with a metallic hiss as dozens of spider-like drones launched into space, streaking toward Earth like a steel swarm. Vilgax clenched his fists. Asmith, whatever game you're playing, I will not lose again.
Hey everyone, welcome to FanFic Canon. Thanks for hitting play. I'm thrilled to bring this fan-made story to life for you. If you enjoy the ride and want more narrated fanfics, smash, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. And if you want audiobook of a novel of your choice, join my Patreon. Request any title that's freely available online, and I'll produce a full narration just for you. Now, let's dive into today's adventure.
So, Ben raised his wrist, looking at the Omnitrix on it. This thing is called the Omnitrix. I can transform once every 10 minutes, and I can turn into aliens, 10 of them. That's right. Just don't mess around with it, Ethen said calmly, giving some genuine advice. Do good deeds within your ability, like me. No wonder there were rumors of aliens in Bellwood before. So it was you all along. Gwen stared at Ethen in surprise. Ben scratched his head. By the way, Ethen, how did you even know I was going to find the Omnitrix? The question made Ethen sound like some kind of prophet. Ethen shrugged innocently. I just said maybe you'd find it. Didn't expect you actually would. Ben's eyes lit up. Guess I'm lucky. From now on, I'm going to be a hero too. Ethen suddenly remembered something important. Oh, and one more thing. Whatever you do, don't smack the screen. Don't smack it, Ben repeated, nodding like he understood, but clearly didn't. Meanwhile, Grandpa Max had fallen silent, his mind full of questions. 2 Omnitrixes? And 6 months ago, before the Omnitrix had even appeared publicly, Ethen was already transforming. Ethen, come help me chop some wood. After a moment of thought, Max found an excuse and led Ethen aside. Once they reached a quiet spot, he turned to him. Ethen, how did you get your Omnitrix? What exactly is going on? Grandpa, Ethen said earnestly, 6 months ago, just like Ben, I came across a meteor and found an Omnitrix inside. I still don't fully understand its secrets, but I'll use it well. I want to become a proper plumber. He hadn't really answered the question, but emotionally, it was perfect. Max's eyes softened. He patted Ethen's shoulder approvingly. With your knowledge of the Omnitrix and your sense of responsibility, you might just become the brightest plumber of them all. Ethen exhaled softly. Phew, past that one. They chatted a bit more as they gathered firewood. But when they returned, they were greeted by a sight that made Ethen's stomach drop. Just like in the original timeline, Ben was fiddling with the Omnitrix, tapping the screen, selecting an alien. Then his eyes lit up and slap. My God! Ethen groaned, rubbing his temple. A flash of green light burst out. Huh? What's this tiny thing? A small, squeaky voice rang out. Gray matter appeared, or rather, a mini version of him, squirming on the ground in disbelief. Ben, Ethen said darkly, I told you not to smack it. Now you've turned yourself into a pint-sized alien. Haha, let me teach him a lesson so he won't forget. Gwen grinned, reaching down and gently scooping gray matter up like a hamster. No, gray matter squealed in despair, flailing helplessly. Everyone laughed. The moment was oddly heartwarming. Then suddenly, ding! Mission. Vilgax's mechanical army attacks issued. Objective. Destroy Vilgax's robot army and eliminate at least 20 drones. Reward. 10 points. Ethen froze. 20 robots? Really? Is my existence making Vilgax lose his mind already? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Streaks of red light flashed across the night sky. A swarm of mechanical drones forming a glowing red tide overhead. The enemy's here, Ethen said evenly. I'll handle this. So many alien battle drones. They're after the Omnitrix. Max warned. Be careful. Ethen, don't get hurt, okay? Gwen added, her voice full of concern. She didn't even notice herself. Gray Matter looked guilty. Sorry, Ethen. I can't help you like this. Ethen smiled. It's fine, Ben. Just don't smack it next time. He turned toward the incoming army, tapped his own Omnitrix, and muttered, to me, these guys are nothing but walking scrap metal. With a flash of green light, Ethen transformed. A massive armored alien emerged, molten energy pulsing through the cracks in his furnace-like armor. This is an RG, Ben shouted in amazement. All the robots instantly locked onto NRG, weapons whirring. They opened fire, a storm of energy blasts and explosions engulfing him in smoke. The others tensed, hearts pounding. But when the smoke cleared, NRG stood unmoved, not a single scratch on his armor. He slowly raised his head. Now it's my turn. Boom! A searing nuclear beam burst from the vents in his armor, vaporizing a drone instantly. Then another, and another. NRG moved methodically, sweeping his nuclear energy across the field. The drones tried to flee, but it was useless. The air shimmered with heat as they were melted down one by one. In moments, the battlefield was silent. Only glowing embers and piles of twisted metal remained. It's over. Max blinked, stunned. That was faster than swatting flies. Gwen stared, all flickering in her eyes. So, he's the alien hero everyone's been talking about in Bellwood. Even Gray Matter watched in admiration. That's the kind of hero I want to be. Meanwhile, far across space, Lord Vilgax, Omnitrix signal detected, a robot reported. Vilgax's eyes gleamed. Excellent. And then, 15 seconds later, Lord Vilgax, it's over. Vilgax smirked. Good. Did they capture both Omnitrixes already? And not exactly. All our robots were destroyed. Vilgax froze. Then his expression twisted with fury. Impossible. Send more drones. Deploy the ACE units. Even he couldn't destroy that many bots so fast. He refused to believe there was anyone in the galaxy stronger than him. Ding. Congratulations, host. Mission complete. You've earned 10 reward points. NRG let out a satisfied rumble, smiling under his molten armor. Looks like Vilgax losing his mind isn't such a bad thing. He's practically handing me extra reward points. System, open personal panel. A faint growl echoed as he focused, and a translucent blue screen appeared before his eyes. Host, Ethen. Physique, average Earthling level. Spirit, normal. Genetic type, human DNA, moderate resistance to alien gene fusion. Skills, general combat training, firearm proficiency. Ability pool, none yet. Reward points, 115. Ethen had spent 6 months in Bellwood and had only exchanged his points for 2 minor skills, managing to save up 100 points. But now, just after joining Ben's storyline, he already had 15 more in hand. Not bad. Bio. Hey, Ethen, how do I get those awesome aliens of yours? They're seriously cool. Ben, still in gray matter form, waddled over, eyes full of admiration. Don't just slap your Omnitrix and hope for the best, NRG advised, his deep voice echoing. Use it properly, and the watch will gradually unlock more transformations. Got it. Gray Matter nodded firmly. This time he actually meant it. Just then, a familiar voice called out. Dinner's ready. Grandpa Max approached with a plate full of wriggling alien bugs. The classic bug dinner. Grandpa, I'm not hungry. Me neither. Ethen instantly reverted to human form and backed away, while Gwen quickly followed, pretending to look busy. Only Gray Matter was left behind, groaning in despair. No, inside the rust bucket, Gwen sat gloomily with a half-empty bag of chips. Oh no, only half a bag left, she sighed. Ethen rummaged through his backpack and pulled out a sealed sandwich. Here, take this. Thanks. You're such a gentleman. Gwen smiled sweetly, her tone softening. What about you? This'll do. Ethen shrugged, grabbing the half-empty chips instead. For a moment, Gwen just looked at him, a warm flutter rising in her chest. He gave me a sandwich and took my half-eaten chips instead. Grandpa, thank you for bringing him along. Then Ethen casually tapped his Omnitrix and transformed into gray matter, hopping onto the table and diving into the chips, munching happily. Wait, using gray matter to eat. Gwen blinked, then laughed. Ethen, you're a genius. Gray matter gave a proud grin. I do this all the time. Snack freedom. Fried chicken freedom. Total food freedom. Gwen giggled, breaking off a piece of the sandwich and handing it to him. The two shared an easy laugh, eating and chatting like old friends. Across the RV, Max tried to feed Ben a few bugs to little success. Some suffered, others enjoyed themselves. Meanwhile, outside, families at the forest campsite were busy barbecuing and relaxing under the night sky. Until, boom, 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 massive shadows crashed down from the heavens. Giant robots, towering 10 meters tall, landed on the ground with thunderous force. Their bodies were armored in steel, with laser cannons mounted in their palms and spider-like legs that moved unervingly fast. One among them stood out, arms replaced with laser blades, a reactor glowing viciously in its chest. For a moment, everyone at the campsite froze in shock. Then came the screaming. 3 large robots and 1 enormous war machine tore through the peaceful night, turning the camp into a nightmare. Inside the rust bucket, the 4 travelers had no idea what was happening outside. Ethen lay on the floor mat, frowning. Strange. I could have sworn this was the part where someone calls for help over the radio. Right on cue. All entertainment programs are now interrupted for urgent news. The cheerful TV show cut off, replaced by a stern-looking news anchor. There has been a violent attack near the forest campsites. 2 to 3 camps have already been destroyed. Citizens are advised to avoid the area immediately. The broadcast ended abruptly. So that's why no one called for help? Ethen muttered, sitting up. Grandpa, I know. Max was already slipping into his slippers, sprinting to the driver's seat. Let's move. The RV roared to life, speeding into the night. Inside, no one spoke. They all knew this was because of them, because of the Omnitrix. They passed several destroyed camps before finally reaching the highway. Dozens of RVs blocked the road, people screaming and running as 3 giant robots blasted through the convoy. And ahead of them, a colossal war robot landed with a crash, its blade arm cutting a fissure straight through the asphalt. Panic spread like wildfire. For ordinary humans in this world, alien invasions were terrifyingly common. If not for Ben, Earth would have fallen 100 times over. But this time, they had someone else too. Ethen, let's do this. Ben jumped out of the RV, slapped his Omnitrix, and transformed into Diamond Head, his body glimmering with crystalline energy. I'm taking them all down. You're right, Ben. Ethen raised his wrist and activated his watch. His expression darkened. They like to pick on the small ones, huh? Fine. Let's show them what big really means. A blinding green light shot skyward, piercing the clouds. The ground trembled as a shadow eclipsed the stars. A massive, godlike figure stepped out of the light. Way big. Every robot froze, sensors glitching as they looked up at the towering titan. The crowd fell silent. Then one by one, people dropped to their knees in awe. A miracle stood before them. Ding! New mission. Smash everything. Objective. Destroy all giant war robots threatening humanity. Reward, 10 points. Max's jaw dropped. A trainee plumber. You can transform into that. Even he, a veteran of countless alien battles, could only stare in disbelief. Way Big stood like a living colossus, power radiating off him in waves, easily 10,000 times stronger than Vilgax himself. And the battle was only beginning. Boom! Way Big raised his colossal foot and strode toward the giant robot. Each step sent shockwaves across the ground. Trees trembled, and even Diamond Head staggered from the tremor. One by one, the massive machines faltered before the towering figure. I'll crush you first. Way Big clenched his fist and drove it down toward the mechanical giant. Boom! The robot's reactor blazed to life, unleashing a torrent of destructive energy that slammed against Way Big's chest. Way Big lowered his head, watching as the searing beam splashed harmlessly against his armor-like skin. He took a deep breath, then whoosh, exhaled with hurricane force. The gale scattered the energy blast, blowing the massive robot clean off its feet and hurling it across the field. The giant machine crashed into the wasteland with a thunderous impact. It blew that thing away with one breath. This isn't a hero, it's a god. Everyone watching stood frozen in disbelief, their worldviews shattered. Then came awe, cheers, and pure adoration. Bang! Wave Big crouched slightly, then leapt into the air and landed right in front of the dazed robot. The machine slashed wildly, twin plasma blades cutting arcs through the air. Wave Big lifted one arm to block. Crack! The twin blades shattered instantly upon contact, as if they were made of glass. They couldn't even scratch him. Given Wave Big's durability, only Vilgax's raw power could ever make him flinch. The robot's sensors blinked erratically, unable to calculate or comprehend the being in front of it. Boom! Boom! Wave Big's fists came down like meteors, pummeling the giant robot into twisted metal. In a matter of seconds, it was reduced to nothing but scraps. Ding! Mission complete. Host has earned 10 reward points. Wave Big straightened up, the mission finished in moments. Nearby, Max leaned against a tree, staring in disbelief. Man, Ethen joining the Plumbers might be the best thing that's ever happened to us. He swallowed hard. How is anyone supposed to match that? Gwen's eyes shimmered with awe as she watched the towering alien vanish into the distance. With Ethen around, everything just feels possible. On the battlefield, Diamond Head was still struggling against 3 smaller robots, his diamond armor chipped but unbroken. Hey, Diamond Brother. Wave Big's booming voice echoed. Just call me Diamond Head. Ben grunted, bracing himself. I can handle this. I don't need help. Even as one robot pinned him down, Ben tried to sound tough. Wave Big sighed and reached over. Boom. With one casual swing, he tossed a massive robot 100 meters away. It exploded on impact like a crushed soda can. These two next. Wave Big grabbed the other 2 robots, one in each hand, and hurled them aside like toys. Diamond Head. Finish them off. Got it. Ben shouted, shaking off his pride. He summoned twin diamond Gatling guns and shredded the robots into debris. Moments later, silence fell. Then came a cheers, loud, endless cheers. Wave Big, Diamond Head. The survivors were crying, laughing, celebrating their heroes. Ben waved to them. All good now. Everyone's safe. Then, exhausted, he reverted back to normal and trudged toward the RV. Wave Big simply spread his arms and soared into the sky, disappearing like a meteor. By the time ambulances and news crews arrived, the footage of the giant alien savior was already flooding the headlines. Inside Grandpa Max's rusted old RV, the atmosphere was finally calm again. Max and Gwen sat quietly until Ethen and Ben returned, both visibly drained but unharmed. Gwen rushed forward, worry clear on her face. Are you okay, Ethen? I'm fine, he assured her, flashing a tired smile. But next time, we have to be faster. We can't let them hurt people again. You're right, Ben said firmly, nodding. Max smiled proudly. You both did great tonight. Get some rest. You've earned it. Past midnight. Ethen stirred awake as the familiar system voice echoed in his mind. Ding. Host's original Omnitrix, Max Level Edition, has expired. Would you like to permanently store it in your ability pool? His eyes snapped open. How much does it cost? Original Omnitrix, Max Level Edition, 120 reward points. He had 125 total, just enough. He clenched his fists. Do it. Save it permanently. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have successfully stored the original Omnitrix, Max Level Edition, in your ability pool. A satisfied grin spread across his face. Now, no matter what random template he drew, he'd always have a reliable backup. He remembered the time he accidentally drew a Blood Watch template and spent an entire day craving duck blood. Yeah, better safe than sorry. Then he whispered, System, activate today's template. Ding. Host has successfully drawn a new Omnitrix template. Ultimate Alien Omnitrix. Features: second-generation aliens and the ultimate evolution function, with full voice control mode. Ethan's heart pounded with excitement. Perfect. He smirked. Let's see how anyone's handle my ultimate aliens. Meanwhile, aboard Vilgax's flagship, a combat robot knelt before its master, its voice trembling. Report, our elite units and primary assault mechs were all destroyed instantly. Vilgax's face darkened, his claws clenched, trembling with rage. He refused to believe it, but the truth was undeniable. Someone on Earth wielded the Omnitrix better than him. Impossible, he growled. How could a single human possess such power? His crimson eyes flared. Prepare the regeneration chamber. I'm resuming training immediately. I'll grow stronger, stronger than ever. I'll reclaim what's mine. The chamber hissed open, steam filling the dark room as Vilgax stepped inside, his monstrous determination burning brighter than ever. Washington, D.C., a residential building was engulfed in flames. My child's still inside. Someone, please help. A terrified couple tried to rush into the blaze, but others held them back. The fire was far too fierce. Boom! A burst of heat and light, and then Heat Blast landed in front of the building, 2 children safely in his arms. The crowd erupted in cheers. Inside Grandpa Max's rusted RV, Ethen watched the live broadcast with a smile. This is Ben's first real hero moment, he said proudly. He's doing pretty well. He made a note to himself. It was time to properly train Ben. From now on, Ben could handle the smaller missions, and Ethen would take care of the heavy hitters. Grand opening today. The biggest supermarket in Bellwood. We've got everything. The excited voice came from the radio as the team drove. Grandpa Max grinned. Once Ben's back, we'll stop by there for supplies. Not long after, the RV pulled into the parking lot of a huge supermarket. The 4 climbed out and stepped inside. Rows of colorful shelves stretched in every direction, packed with food and gadgets. The place was bustling. I'll grab ingredients for dinner, said Grandpa Max, pushing a cart toward the seafood section. He stopped at a tank of live turtles, muttering about fresh protein as he examined them. Meanwhile, Ethen, Ben, and Gwen wandered aimlessly through the aisles until something caught Ben's eye. Rampage Sumo Limited Edition chips, he exclaimed. If you're lucky, you might get the gold card inside. In this world, Rampage Sumo was practically legendary. Any kid who owned a gold card was instantly the coolest in school. Ben, you dork, Gwen teased. We don't have that kind of money. Or are you betting on one shot, luck again? Hey, I've got powers now, remember? Ben tapped the Omnitrix screen with a grin and hovered over Spitter. But then, he hesitated. Was it really okay to use alien power for something like this? Ethen noticed and smiled approvingly. At least he's learning restraint, he thought. He stepped forward. Ben, let me handle it. Huh? Ethen, you gonna transform? Ben asked, confused. Ethen, we really don't need that many chips. Gwen added, pulling out a crumpled $10 bill. Ethen didn't respond. He simply pulled out a black card and handed it to the cashier. Charge it, and I'll take every bag on this shelf. The clerk blinked. Sir, you're joking, right? Wait, the card went through? The man's eyes went wide with excitement. Oh my, you're serious? Right away, sir. Gwen's jaw dropped. How much money do you have? Ben's eyes gleamed. So, this is the power of money. Ethen crossed his arms, serious. Remember, Ben, if something can be solved with money, it's not a problem. Don't rely on the Omnitrix for everything. He wasn't exaggerating. Even as a trainee plumber, Ethen had already saved up tens of thousands of dollars. Not bad for a high school hero. Boss, Ben said, eyes shining. From now on, I'm following your lead. Soon, the 3 of them sat on the floor, tearing open bag after bag. After dozens of tries, Ben finally pulled out a shimmering Rampage Sumo gold card, drawing envious looks from nearby kids. Boom! Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. A thunderous crash echoed from the distance. Ethen's expression darkened. He knew that sound. Dr. Onimo had arrived. Ben and Gwen looked alarmed, thinking it was another Vilgax attack. Ding! New mission issued. Mad biologist Dr. Onimo. Objective: repel Dr. Onimo's giant bullfrog and prevent civilian casualties. Reward: 5 reward points. Ethen's eyes sharpened. He stepped out from behind the shelves, gaze locking on the electronics section. There, sitting like a small car, was a giant mutant bullfrog croaking lowly. Perched on its back, a crazed-looking man in a tattered coat and horned helmet rummaged through boxes of electronics. Ha ha! Just like the ad said, this store really does have everything I need. Onimo crowed. Bang! Green light flashed as Ben slammed the Omnitrix down. In a burst of energy, 4 arms appeared, towering, muscular, and ready for battle. Ethen, let me handle this weirdo. 4 arms cracked his knuckles. If I stop Onimo, I'll complete the mission too. Ethen nodded. Go for it. 4 arms charged across the aisle, shouting, Hey, what are you feeding that bullfrog? Protein shakes. Dr. Onimo spun, sneering. Another mutant freak? Bullfrog, deal with him. Don't interrupt my work. The massive frog leapt forward, its jaws gaping. 4 arms caught it midair and slammed it into the floor, locking in a chokehold. Within seconds, the frog went limp, out cold. Not bad, Ethen muttered. Onimo's eyes narrowed. TCH, troublesome brat. He snapped a switch on his gene variator, and the device on his chest began to glow ominously. Then I'll get serious. 3 arcs of green electricity shot from his helmet, striking the pet section. Hamsters ballooned in size, shrieking as they charged forward. A bearded dragon grew massive, stomping through shelves, and a Brazilian turtle transformed into a hulking, tank-like monster with a snapping jaw. The supermarket descended into chaos as 4 arms fought desperately to hold them back. Ding! Mission update. Repel Dr. Onimo's mutant beasts. Reward: 10 reward points. Ethen sighed. Guess I'm up. He raised his wrist. The Ultimatrix on his arm glowed with green light. Ethen, what's going on with your watch? Gwen gasped. Even Grandpa Max, who had hurried over, stared in disbelief. That's not the same Omnitrix. Ethen smirked. Just a little upgrade. He turned the dial. The holographic silhouette of Automix appeared. Time to clean up. Click. A surge of power exploded outward, his body expanding, glowing green light spilling across the supermarket. Roar! Humongosaur unleashed a thunderous roar that shook the entire supermarket, revealing his towering, muscular figure. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, his body was a fortress of strength, brown-green scales layered like natural armor, every muscle bulging with raw power. He looked like a humanoid dinosaur, the kind that ruled the food chain. It's a Vaxasaurian, and not just anyone. That's the strongest I've ever seen. Grandpa Max exclaimed, eyes wide. The Omnitrix's DNA is always perfectly optimized, and Ethen's transformation was no exception. Ben, I'm here. Humongosaur lowered his head slightly to avoid the ceiling and stepped out from behind the shelves, his heavy footsteps shaking the ground. His glowing green eyes locked onto the 3 mutated creatures attacking Ben. Then, without hesitation, he turned his gaze to Dr. Onimo. Another giant? Dr. Onimo's heart skipped a beat. That monstrous figure, that calm, terrifying stare. The pressure was suffocating. Bullfrog, hamster, lizard, attack him together. Take down that dinosaur. Onimo shouted in panic. The giant frilled lizard was the first to lunge forward, hissing and charging. Humongosaur stopped in place. His stance shifted, his massive fist tightening. For years, Ben's Humongosaur had been mocked as defeated saurian. All power, no technique. But Ethen's version wasn't the same. He trained. He knew how to fight. Crack! The air trembled as he drew back his fist, his body coiling with power. When the frilled lizard came within reach. Boom! The punch shattered the sound barrier. The frilled lizard froze mid-leap as Humongosaur's fist slammed into its face, launching it through the far wall like a meteor. A long streak of blood trailed behind it before it disappeared into the rubble. One punch. No way. Dr. Onimo's eyes bulged. He must have used all his strength. That's impossible otherwise. Even with 4 arms, I couldn't win that fast, 4 arms muttered, stunned. Boxing stance, controlled power. Ethan's clearly trained in hand-to-hand combat, Grandpa Max said, astonished at how skilled the so-called Plumber trainee really was. The giant hamster screeched and lunged. Humongosaur's tail suddenly whipped out like a steel bat, thwack, slamming the hamster right between the eyes. It dropped instantly, fainting on the spot. Then came the giant turtle. It stretched its neck to bite, but Humongosaur grabbed it by the shell and threw it over his shoulder in a perfect wrestling move. The ground cracked as the turtle slammed down, its legs twitching helplessly. The entire supermarket fell silent. He hadn't even used full power, just basic strikes. Efficient, lethal, overwhelming. A monster that fights like a human martial artist? He just used boxing, wrestling, and tail techniques. He's insane. Alien Bro's a total beast. The crowd erupted in cheers, their blood pumping with excitement. Phew, the nickname Defeated Saurian ends today, Humongosaur said with a confident grin. From now on, it's One-Punch Saurian. He turned to 4 Arms, who was still in awe. Ethen, Super God Humongosaur, teach me those moves. That was awesome. Humongosaur frowned. Super God? No, just call me Humongosaur. Then his expression hardened as he turned toward Dr. Onimo and began walking forward. Onimo's breathing grew ragged. No, stay away. He frantically activated his gene splicer, mutating every nearby animal in sight. Birds, lizards, and rodents twisted into hideous monsters and charged. But Humongosaur didn't flinch. Every punch was decisive. 1 hit per creature, each one dropping instantly. Seeing his creations fall like paper dolls, Onimo panicked. He leapt onto a giant parrot and flew out of the shattered roof, terrified beyond words. Mission complete, the system chimed in Ethan's mind. Reward, 10 points. Humongosaur sighed. Too bad he got away. Then he grinned. Oh well, maybe he'll come back with something stronger next time. I could use better missions. Ben and 4 Arms regrouped near the ruin aisles. Everything's fine now. 4 Arms scratched his head. Sorry for breaking half the store. Instead of anger, the crowd clapped and cheered for them. Soon after, the 4 heroes regrouped in the rust bucket. Ethen, I think we should investigate that scientist, Gwen said, typing on her laptop. Here, Dr. Aloysius Onimo, former biologist, repeatedly rejected for the Truth Prize. His entry this year? The Gene Splicer. Grandpa Max nodded. Then we'll head to the Truth Prize ceremony tonight. I bet that's his next move. Meanwhile, Ben wouldn't stop pestering Ethen, asking for fighting lessons, touching his Omnitrix, and throwing endless questions his way. Meanwhile, in a dark alley, the giant parrot crash-landed, exhausted and vomiting from stress. Dr. Onimo tumbled off, gasping, eyes still wide from fear. The image of Humongosaur's massive frame crushing his monsters haunted him. The strongest creature on Earth, that thing can't be real. Then his face twisted into determination. No, I'll make something even stronger. If I have to go all out, then so be it. He adjusted his goggles, stood up straight, and muttered coldly. Humongosaur, next time, I'll be ready. It was already past 7 in the evening. The Truth Prize ceremony venue was packed to the brim. Under the bright lights, the new Truth Prize winner received their award as cheers erupted from the crowd. At the entrance inside an old, beat-up car, Ethen watched the broadcast on the small TV, frowning. The Truth Prize ceremony's over already, and Dr. Onimo still hasn't shown up. No matter how much the plot changed, it shouldn't change Onimo's obsession with the Truth Prize. Maybe he won't come at all. Ben Tennyson groaned, lying flat on the car floor, exhausted. Ethen, I'm done with training for today. I can't move another inch. You only learned a couple of moves. Is that enough? Gwen teased. Hey, Ethen said those Muay Thai moves are super strong. Ben shot back defensively. Beep, beep, beep. 2 urgent alerts went off at the same time. One from Ethan's backpack and another from Grandpa Max's radio. The 2 exchanged quick glances. It was the plumber's alert system, signaling an emergency nearby. What Ethen didn't expect was that Grandpa Max had actually hooked up the full Plumber system inside this clunky old car. Grandpa Max calmly adjusted the radio, reading the report as his eyes widened. Breaking news. Dr. Onimo has stolen several dinosaur fossils from the museum. He's now the most wanted criminal in Bellwood. Well. Ethen smirked, getting out of the car. That's a big move, even for him. Ethen, where are you going? Gwen asked, confused. He twisted the car door handle and grinned. If he's making that much noise, he's definitely heading here. I'll make sure he spots me first. This wasn't recklessness. It was confidence. Confidence in his own strength. Time to teach Dr. Onimo a lesson. Bang! Ethen stepped out of the car and into a dark alley nearby. He twisted the Omnitrix dial, selecting Humongosaur. His body expanded rapidly, muscles bulging as he transformed into the mighty alien powerhouse. Whoosh! Humongosaur exhaled deeply, the ground trembling beneath his feet as he walked toward the Truth Prize stage. Ding! Mission, the deranged biologist Dr. Onimo issued. Mission details. Dr. Onimo has completely lost his sanity, stealing countless dinosaur fossils and creating a monstrous army. Eliminate his dinosaur horde and bring him to justice. Reward, 20 system points. Humongosaur cracked his neck and smirked. 20 points? Sounds fair. Roar! A deafening roar echoed through the night as a pack of velociraptors charged straight toward him. Humongosaur yawned. He didn't even bother attacking. Boom! Boom! From behind him, a massive orange figure, 4 arms, leaped into the fight, smashing several raptors with ease. Ben, you handle the appetizers, Humongosaur said casually. He looked ahead. The ground began to shake violently, as if a giant had arrived. Through the darkness, massive shapes emerged. A raging Tyrannosaurus, a horned Triceratops, a towering Brontosaurus, and a deadly Therizinosaurus with scythe-like claws. A full dinosaur army was marching straight for the city. In the sky above, Dr. Onimo rode atop a mutated parrot, glaring down at Humongosaur. His face twisted with rage. I only wanted to do a little field test, and you turn me into a wanted man. You'll pay for this. Seeing Humongosaur's calm smirk only made him angrier. Quite the show, Humongosaur chuckled. Fine, Doctor. Out of respect for your efforts, I'll go all out. All out. Onimo sneered. You think you can scare me with talk? Inside the car, Grandpa Max frowned. Is Ethen bluffing? Or does he really have another trick up his sleeve? He remembered how Ethen had fought earlier. Even when holding back, his strength was terrifying. Click. Humongosaur pressed the ultimate dial on his chest. Ultimate evolution, activate. A cold, mechanical voice echoed as deep green DNA energy engulfed him, transforming every inch of his body. His muscles grew denser, claws sharper, tail longer. His back and shoulders bristled with armored spikes. When the light faded, standing there was ultimate Humongosaur, a towering green titan armed with built-in missile launchers and the aura of a war god. 4 arms stood there, dumbfounded, tapping his own chest symbol with no effect. Dr. Onimo panicked. All dinosaurs attacked together. The ground thundered as tyrannosaurs, triceratopses, and other prehistoric beasts charged all at once. Ultimate Humongosaur's expression hardened. He's close by. I'll crush these first, then find him. His right arm shifted, forming a quad-barreled missile launcher. He aimed at the Brontosaurus, leading the charge. Boom! 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 Red missiles streaked through the sky, exploding against the Brontosaurus. Flames engulfed the beast, bringing it down in seconds. The nearby crowd gasped. What's that noise? Are those fireworks? Wait, is that a giant dinosaur? Spectators stepped outside and froze in horror. Ultimate Humongosaur turned to them with a grin. Sorry, folks. Bit of a dinosaur problem. Please wait inside. Everyone nodded numbly, then bolted for the exit screaming. Good. That's safer. He turned just as the Therizinosaurus lunged, its massive claws slashing toward his neck. Crack! The claws snapped in half against his armored skin. Was that supposed to hurt? Humongosaur asked with a grin. The dinosaur wailed in pain, collapsing. One down, he muttered, stepping over it and heading for the Tyrannosaurus and Triceratops. In under a minute, he showed why dinosaurs had gone extinct the first time. High above, Dr. Onimo slumped on his flying beast. "Parrot, save some strength. We're going to need to retreat." Boom! The Triceratops charged first, roaring as it lunged to bite Ultimate Humongosaur. Humongosaur didn't hesitate. He turned, swinging his massive tail like a meteor hammer. At first glance, his tail looked small compared to the Triceratops's enormous skull. Crack! The impact shook the ground. A shock wave burst outward, shattering concrete and sending a burst of air rippling across the battlefield. The Triceratops's skull split open under the blow, and the creature was flung high through the air before crashing into the distant plaza. Third one down, Ultimate Humongosaur flicked his tail calmly, his deep voice echoing in the smoke. The remaining Tyrannosaurus froze, eyes wide in horror. Its instinct screamed louder than any command, and after a long, terrified pause, it turned and bolted. Up in the sky, Dr. Onimo gritted his teeth. He didn't dare shout orders now, afraid his voice would reveal his hiding spot. He could only watch as his prized creation ran for its life. Humongosaur didn't bother chasing it. Inside the car, Grandpa Max frowned. Maybe he's getting tired. That form must drain a lot of energy. Meanwhile, Onimo rubbed his chin, analyzing from above. So, his weakness is stamina. Good. If I can just... Boom. Before he could finish, Humongosaur's arms swelled with power. He raised both fists, aiming straight at the fleeing T-Rex. Planet Buster Cannon. He slammed his fists together, unleashing a thunderous shockwave that streaked through the air like a green meteor. Rumble. The blast struck the Tyrannosaurus head-on. Flesh and bone vaporized in an instant, crushed like a mosquito under a tank. Last one finished. Ultimate Humongosaur's voice was cold, his eyes glowing faintly. One punch. One kill. That was enough. Dr. Onimo's jaw dropped. One dinosaur per hit. This is insane. He finally realized this creature was the most terrifying thing Earth had ever seen. He couldn't fight this monster. Not yet. Not ever. P-Parrot, retreat. Now! The giant parrot squawked nervously and began to turn around, but froze mid-flight. From the rooftop of a nearby building, a red blur streaked through the night sky. Nice timing, Ben. Humongosaur grinned as four arms dove in, smashing the parrot from the air and grabbing Onimo by the collar. They made a perfect team. Ethen handled the invincible battles. Ben handled the cleanup. Unstoppable. The Plumber's rising star just took down one of their biggest threats, Grandpa Max said proudly, watching from the van. Moments later, police cars arrived and cuffed Dr. Onimo. Finally, one officer sighed. Those two monsters won't cause any more trouble. Onimo glared out the window as he was shoved into the car, trembling with anger and humiliation. Damn it. I'll come back. I'll create something stronger than you, monster. He didn't realize it yet, but deep down, his obsession had shifted. He no longer wanted to defeat Ben Tennyson, but to surpass Ethen. Ding. Congratulations, host. Mission complete. Reward, 20 system points. Back inside the old rust bucket, Ethen smiled as the voice echoed in his mind. Beside him, Ben was shadowboxing enthusiastically. I totally used those Muay Thai moves you taught me on that parrot. Did you see that? All right, champ, Grandpa Max chuckled. Dinner first. Rest later. Tonight's dinner was smoked beef tongue. Ethen had craved it even before crossing worlds, and now that he finally tasted it again. Authentic and perfect. Ben and Gwen hesitated at first, but eventually joined in. Later that night, Ethen set up his small floor mat, insisting on sleeping separately so he wouldn't disturb anyone. At midnight, he stirred awake. Huff! His eyes opened slightly. Ding! Host, your ultimate evolution watch time has expired. Would you like to retain it permanently in your ability pool? How much? Ultimate evolution watch. Price, 220 reward points. No thanks, Ethen said firmly. It was powerful, sure, but not worth draining his balance. The original Omnitrix Max Level Edition was far more versatile in the long run. As the ultimate watch faded from his wrist, he muttered, "Claim today's Omnitrix template. Ding. Congratulations, host. New template acquired. Devil Watch." Ethen's eyes widened. Devil Watch. System explanation. The Devil Watch seals 10 ancient demonic aliens. Their power is monstrous, but if you can control them, you could become the undisputed king of demons. Yeah, no. System. Switch it to the original Omnitrix. Ding. Original Omnitrix Max Level Edition available in Ability Pool. Switch. Ethen hesitated. The Devil Watch was dangerous, but intriguing. System. Open personal status. Host. Ethen. Physique. Standard human, Earth level. Spirit. Normal. Genes. Human. Slight resistance to alien DNA. Skills. Hand-to-hand combat. Firearms proficiency. Ability pool. None. Reward points. 35. How many points to strengthen my body and mind? Ding. First upgrade costs 10 points each. Every subsequent upgrade increases by times 10. Same for both stats. Ding. Yes. Then strengthen both once. Ding. Physical enhancement complete. Mental enhancement complete. 20 points consumed. His body surged with energy, muscles tightening. His mind sharpened. Every thought felt faster, clearer. Perfect. He looked at his watch and smirked. I confirm to claim the Devil Watch template. A deep purple glow erupted from his wrist. His right arm twisted, the Omnitrix morphing into a sinister black and purple device, its core pulsing like a living heart. The Devil Watch. It radiated power, but Ethen's enhanced mind kept it under control. In Ben's story, this watch had nearly driven him insane. But Ethen wasn't Ben. He knew how to handle it. I remember, there's a demonic version of Diamond Head sealed inside this one. He smiled faintly. Tomorrow, I'll test him and see how far I can push the Devil Watch. Pulling the blanket over his mutated arm, Ethen closed his eyes, a satisfied grin on his face. The room went quiet. The Devil Watch pulsed once in the darkness, as if it were breathing. Early in the morning, the first rays of sunlight broke through the sky, faint and silvery like a fish's belly. Gwen Tennyson woke up groggily, yawning as she carefully stepped around Ethen, who was still sleeping on the floor. She went to the bathroom, washed up quickly, and tiptoed back. Ethen stirred, stretching and rubbing his eyes with his left hand. "Sorry, Ethen, did I wake you?" Gwen asked softly, her voice full of guilt. Ethen smiled, waving it off. "It's fine. I'm used to light sleep." But then, Gwen's scream pierced the quiet morning. Her eyes widened in shock as she stared at Ethen's right arm, jet black and monstrous, with a strange crimson device embedded into it. The watch's face looked like a demonic, scarlet eye. "Ethen," she gasped. Grandpa Max frowned, studying the arm closely. "Is there anything unusual about your right arm?" "Unusual?" Ethen looked at his hand and shrugged. "Not really, except it's a lot stronger." He picked up a lemon, squeezed gently, and the juice burst out in a single motion, splashing perfectly into a glass of water. He took a sip. Freshly squeezed lemon juice. "I want some too," Ben Tennyson said eagerly. "Lemon juice made with a devil arm. Awesome. Are you sure this is safe?" Gwen asked, her tone full of concern. She could barely look at the eerie red watch on his arm. Ethen smiled faintly and made another glass for her. "Don't worry. My arm's changed like this before. It usually goes back to normal by the next day." The others exchanged worried glances. "If it's not better tomorrow," Grandpa Max said firmly, "we'll have it checked." After breakfast, Max went to wash up and then started the rust bucket. Gwen and Ben stayed behind, curiously inspecting Ethen's strange arm. First, Ben challenged him to an arm wrestle, then used Ethen's hand to crush soda cans into cool shapes. Gwen followed up with a magnifying glass, gently holding his hand and examining the details. "Oh my gosh, this doesn't look like any earth creature's arm," she murmured. An hour later, the old rust bucket drove down a misty forest road and stopped beside a wide, sparkling lake. Max yawned. "You kids go have fun. I'll catch some sleep." The lake's beauty was irresistible. Without hesitation, Ben, Gwen, and Ethen changed into swimsuits and headed for the water. "Cannonball!" Ben shouted, leaping in and splashing everyone. It's freezing." Gwen dipped her toes in, shivering. After a moment, she adjusted to the temperature and waded in fully. Ethen crouched by the water, dipping his right arm in first. The water around it was warm. He stepped in and immediately felt the chill, except where his arm was. The devil arm was radiating heat. "How weird! It's actually warm near you," Gwen said, swimming close and resting her hand against his arm. Her fear faded a little. "Then let's swim together," Ethen said with a grin. He started to move, his powerful arm slicing through the water easily. Gwen tried to keep up, but as they reached deeper waters, her pace slowed and her nerves returned. Ethen reached out and supported her shoulder gently. "Relax. I've got you." Watching them from a distance, Ben frowned. "Hey, what are those two doing? They're supposed to be having a water fight, not a romance." He pouted and swam toward the center of the lake. Suddenly, gurgle, gurgle, bubbles erupted violently around him. What's that?" Ben stopped, staring curiously at the disturbance. Boom! A massive splash exploded upward, and Ben was flung back with a startled yell. "Ben!" Gwen cried. Alarmed, Ethen instinctively pushed Gwen behind him and swam toward shore. But before he could reach it, gurgle, gurgle, the water in front of him boiled with bubbles again. A cold dread crept over him. "Gwen," he said quietly, "stay behind me. Don't move." "Okay," she whispered, rubbing her shoulder where he'd gripped her, and backed away. Boom! A giant shadow burst from the lake, sending waves crashing. Rising nearly 8 meters tall, it loomed in the mist, its massive frame like the legendary lake monster seen online. Roar! The creature lunged straight at Ethen. Too fast, no time to transform. Even the Omnitrix couldn't help now. Ethen's eyes narrowed. He clenched his teeth and tightened his fist. Muscles bulged, veins flared blue beneath his dark skin, and the air itself began to crackle around his arm. The monster surged forward. Ethen's fist blazed with a deep red glow. He swung. Rumble! The impact thundered through the air. Waves exploded outward. The water monster froze mid-attack. Then a massive bump swelled on its head. With a dazed ow-wow, it retreated, diving back into the depths. The lake fell silent again. Ethen lowered his fist, breathing hard. His arm ached slightly, but he'd done it. One punch had driven the monster away. Just how strong would he be if he transformed? The Devil Watch truly was something else. Then, gurgle, gurgle. Gwen. Ethen turned to see her struggling, coughing up water as she tried to stay afloat. He didn't hesitate. He dove forward, wrapped an arm around her, and swam hard toward the shore. "I'm fine," Gwen said between coughs, clinging to him tightly, her face flushed. "Really, I'm fine." Ethen smiled faintly as they reached the shore. Ben, soaked and exhausted, was already recovering. The three of them hurried back to the rust bucket. "We've got to tell Grandpa Max," Ben said, still panting. "There's a monster in that lake." Deep in the forest, hidden among the trees, a group of men watched with sinister smiles. "Inform the boss about what we just saw. That kid's arm. It's not human. Looks like a devil's. He could be worth a fortune." They exchanged malicious glances, then boarded small boats and headed toward the center of the lake. "About the lake monster?" "Got it." Grandpa Max nodded, looking serious. "Ethen, let's head out to fish later. Maybe we can handle this water monster situation before it gets worse." "No problem." Ethen grinned, flashing an okay gesture. "Hey, Grandpa, I've got Omnitrix too, remember?" Ben immediately complained. "Why does he get to go and not me?" To outsiders, it might have looked like Grandpa Max simply didn't trust Ben. But the real reason was simple. Both Max and Ethen were plumbers. It was natural for them to handle alien-related incidents together. "Grandpa," Ethen said calmly, "let Ben and Gwen come along. With me here, it's the monster that should be scared." The tone was arrogant, but confident. He clenched his right hand, his voice carrying quiet dominance. "Even if I don't transform, I can still knock it down." Max sighed. "All right, Better that than you two sneaking aboard. After changing clothes, the four of them stepped out of the rust bucket and walked along the lake. Before long, they spotted a small cabin with a worn fishing boat tied to the dock. A gruff old man stood there. "I'm Captain Swan," he said curtly. "You folks here to fish? Grab your gear and hop on." Everyone climbed aboard and took their seats. The boat engine sputtered to life, heading toward the misty center of the lake. "Captain Swan," Grandpa Max began, "you ever hear stories about the creature that lives in this lake?" The captain squinted ahead as he steered. "You mean the Kraken? Been around for years. Most people don't believe it's real, but one day I'll prove it. Has it ever attacked anyone?" Max asked. "Nah," the captain replied, a little impatiently. "The Kraken's always been calm. Never bothered me." The group chatted as the boat glided further out, until a large ship came into view, blocking their path. A man in a formal suit stood on deck and called out, "I'm Jonah Meyer, president of the Fish Enthusiasts Association. We're conducting a species survey here. Fishing's prohibited in this area. Please stay near the shore." He smiled politely, but behind him, one of his crew whispered, "Boss, that family we've been watching, they're on their way here now." Jonah's smile sharpened. "Perfect. Once they head into the deep, the little devil and the Kraken will clash. We'll swoop in afterward and take what we need." His crew grinned. "Boss, you're a genius." The ship soon drifted off, leaving Captain Swan's small boat free to move deeper into the lake. "Strange," the captain muttered. "Never seen that ship before. Oh well, time to fish." The group cast their lines into the shimmering water. Beneath the sun, ripples sparkled gently. Ethen didn't cast a line. Instead, he crouched at the edge of the boat, eyes fixed on the still surface. The lake was calm, too calm. "They're all using worms for bait," he muttered. "Guess I'll try something better." He slowly dipped his black, demonic right hand into the water. Deep beneath the surface, two glowing eyes opened. The Kraken saw that arm, that same cursed arm. Its body stirred with fury. This was its home. No intruder would make it suffer again. Suddenly, a mechanical chime echoed in Ethen's mind. Ding! Mission: Attack of the giant lake monster Kraken initiated. Objective: defeat and subdue the Kraken. Reward: 10 points. Note: the Kraken's aggression stems from stolen eggs. Recover them after the battle. Ethen smirked slightly. Got it. First the monster, then the eggs. He raised his right arm and tapped the crimson watch embedded in it, the demon watch. The eye on its surface snapped open, projecting holographic silhouettes of various creatures. He spun the dial until it landed on a crystalline figure, Diamond Demon. "Let's go." He slammed the watch face down. Whoosh! A crimson beam shot skyward. A blinding flash followed, and when the light faded, a towering warrior stood beside the fishing boat. Its body was made of dark purple crystal, sharp and spiked from head to toe. Its eyes glowed red like molten gems. Captain Swan staggered back. What kind of monster is that?" Ben's eyes sparkled. "Whoa, Diamond Demon. That's actually a pretty cool name." Grandpa Max blinked in disbelief. Ethen again. Where does he keep finding these insane transformations? Gwen, ever alert, noticed the rippling water. "He must have sensed danger," she said quickly and ducked into the cabin. Everyone stays back. In Ethen's mind space, a blood-red void surrounded him. On a crystal throne sat the Diamond Demon, arms folded, watching him with amusement. "You seem familiar with this device," the demon rumbled. "You picked me, the most talkative one, for your first transformation." "Why? I could just suppress your will," Ethen said calmly. "But I'd rather use 100% of your power, not half. So let's cooperate." The demon smirked. "Then let's make a deal. I'll lend you my strength, but in return, you'll use the demon watch more often. Every day. Let each of us escape our prison for a while." Ethen's lips curved slightly. "Deal." The crimson void shattered. Back in reality, the Diamond Demon's eyes flared. Power surged through every vein of his crystalline body. The lake began to quake. Boom! The Kraken erupted from below, water exploding in all directions. It roared furiously at the towering purple figure. The creature might look different now, but the devilish pattern on its body told the Kraken everything. This was the same being that had wounded it. It lunged. The diamond demon crouched slightly, energy building across his spiked armor. Diamond bind. Bang, bang, bang. Glowing chains of purple crystal shot outward, wrapping around the Kraken's massive body again and again until it could barely move. The beast thrashed, roaring in rage, but the crystalline chains only tightened, forming a radiant prison of amethyst light. That's insane, Grandpa Max whispered. I've never seen crystal generation that fast. Ben gawked. No way. I can't even do that when I have stomach cramps. And he's making crystal chains like it's nothing. Kraken, the diamond demon, said coldly, stepping forward. Each step froze the water beneath him into glowing crystal. Calm down first. Then we'll talk. He dragged the bound monster across the lake like an adult disciplining a child, leaving trails of glowing crystal in his wake. Captain Swan stood frozen, jaw slack. Who's the real monster here? The diamond demon strode from the center of the lake to the opposite shore and brought the Kraken down to its knees. He shrank the crystal chains, released the beast, and set it into the water. The Kraken gulped greedily, drawing in massive quantities of lake water to replenish itself. Then, without learning its lesson, snapped at the diamond demon. I was too busy subduing you to tickle you, the diamond demon said casually as he scratched his cheek, barely bothered by the attack. Before the Kraken's jaws could close, the demon flashed upward. In an instant, he rocketed more than 10 meters into the air, appearing above the beast. Your back looks, sir, let me give you a massage, he joked. Crystals erupted from the demon's foot and fused into an oversized, diamond-like boot, more like a hammer than a shoe. He brought it down with a thunderous strike. The Kraken howled as a concussion of waves slammed it into the depths. Time and again, the monster lunged, only to be slammed back by the diamond demon's crystal strikes. The demon used the Kraken's own body as a springboard, kicking off it to stay airborne, each blow sending the beast skidding into the water. Soon the Kraken learned not to show its head. It slunk beneath the surface, refusing to give itself away. The diamond demon removed his crystal boots and stepped lightly ashore as huge waves crashed against the bank. You want to use waves to push me under? He asked, amused. Fine, let's go for a swim. He dove. The lake dropped 20 or 30 meters to black water below. The Kraken charged from the deep, furious. Diamond, Spider Lance, the demon intoned. Spines bristled along his back. Hundreds of thin crystalline spears, like a shower of spider legs, shot toward the Kraken, stabbing and pinning at every vulnerable spot. Water resistance slowed them, but could not stop the onslaught. The Kraken was driven deeper and deeper toward the lake bottom, where the spear web tightened around it until it could hardly move. One final spear lodged in the beast's brow. The Kraken froze. The diamond demon slowly retracted his spears, then ascended. When the monster burst free and surfaced, it stared at his back with a pleading, almost childlike expression. Ding. Mission complete. Attack of the giant lake monster, Kraken. Host awarded 10 points. The diamond demon regarded the Kraken with a softer tone. You're smart. You attacked because your eggs were stolen, right? The Kraken nodded fiercely. I'll help you recover your eggs, the demon said. But promise me you won't hurt anyone else until then. The Kraken thrashed its tentacles in assent and dove away, an apology in motion. As the demon walked back toward the fishing boat, a thought crossed his mind. By the way, how do Kraken eggs get fertilized around here? There's no other water monster in this lake. He paused and cocked his head. The Kraken's embarrassed dive told him the answer. He snorted and walked on. Some mysteries could wait. When the diamond demon climbed onto the boat, it was empty. Where'd everyone go? He muttered. And then he saw the big ship anchored nearby. On the deck, Jonah Myers smiled down with a thin, greedy grin. You returned. I never expected you to transform like that. Truly priceless. Drop your weapon and surrender, Jonah called. Or they die. His crew pointed out Ben and the others, tied and helpless, smirking with the mean certainty of poachers who thought they'd won. "Ethen," Gwen cried. "They tied us up. This was a trap." Jonah's voice hardened. "Drop it, or they die." The diamond demon sighed, as if indulging a bothersome child. He moved toward the pattern on his chest. The demon watches sigil, apparently to remove it. Everyone watched the glowing motif, certain the fight was over. They didn't notice the spikes along his forearms shifting. In the next instant, the spikes exploded outward, converting into colossal crystal fists that hammered the ship's hull like battering rams. The vessel lurched. Jonah and his men were thrown off balance. "I'm faster than a flash," the demon declared as he sprang across the water. In a blur, he crossed the short distance from the small boat to the larger ship and was on deck in the same heartbeat. As Jonah's crew fumbled for their guns, they were swept off by surging arcs of purple energy. One by one, the poachers were flung back onto the water. The demon's power created huge diamond platforms beneath them that marched steadily toward the shore, dozens of meters at a time. "Retreat! Retreat!" Jonah's bravado dissolved into raw panic. The realization hit him. They had failed to control the situation. He barked orders to open fire, but no one wanted to be first to confront a crystal colossus. Back on the shore, the diamond demon slowed and half-kneeled, winded by the sprint. He had pushed himself to the limit to haul Ben and Gwen to safety. His chest heaved as he tried to catch his breath. "Ethen, you okay?" Ben panted, rubbing his wrists as the ropes were cut. "I'm fine," Ethen said, voice steady though his legs trembled. "You look after the others. Turn into a support alien. Keep civilians clear. Don't let anyone get hurt." The demon's eyes were cold as he spoke. The lake was crowded with tourist boats now. Any stray bullet or rock could hit an innocent person in a flash. A new system chime rang in Ethen's mind. Ding! New mission issued. Blood and War. Objective: eliminate Jonah Meyer's poaching gang by any means necessary. Reward: 15 points. Jonah Meyer's face registered the truth. The lake's monster wasn't a rampaging animal. This was an avenger. The men on his ship swallowed fear and braced for a fight that had just become very personal. Bio. A flash of red light burst out as Ethen reappeared, calm and composed. "Time's up? Fine. Then I'll transform again later." Jonah Meyer and his crew wouldn't reach the area for a while yet. "Well, if I say I didn't see anything, would you believe me?" Captain Swan stammered, his voice trembling as he stared at Ethen and the others. "Don't worry, Captain," Ethen said with a faint smile. "Even if you've seen the truth, it's like the Kraken. It's something the world isn't ready to accept." In other words, as long as he didn't transform in front of crowds, it didn't matter if a few witnesses saw. Captain Swan gulped and nodded silently. The group sat down to rest, the tension in the air thick as they waited. "Ben," Ethen said, glancing over. "Keep the Omnitrix ready." Ben raised his wrist and left the watch's screen active, ready to transform at a moment's notice. Jonah's crew could arrive any time. Ethen's calm wasn't recklessness, it was preparation. Every movement was deliberate. Every breath was control. Captain Swan watched in confusion. "I keep learning more and more secrets," he muttered under his breath. "But I guess that's none of my business." Second crawled by. The demon watch on Ethen's wrist began to recharge, the eye in its center flickering open. He rolled his wrist, selecting Diamond Head, but the watch resisted, rejecting the command. "Huh, it won't activate." He frowned, turned the dial again, and the icon shifted, landing on Heat Blast. He smirked. "Guess we're going with fire." A blood-red flash engulfed him. When the light faded, a towering figure stood there, his entire body cloaked in blazing red-gold flames, his face sharp and angular like molten glass. The air itself trembled around him. "Whoa!" Ben breathed. "Is that Netherfire?" Inside the conscious space, a dark void. Countless chains coiled around a flaming figure, the true Netherfire. "Don't even think about using my power to play hero, kid," the spirit growled. "Even with your willpower, I can stop you." "Who said anything about being a hero?" Ethen folded his arms. "What do you want me to do?" Netherfire's laughter echoed like burning coals. My power exists for one thing, only killing. You'll have to kill someone for me, or I'll take over your body right now. Ethen blinked. Just one. Netherfire sneered. You're scared already, huh? Humans, so pathetic. What? Only one? Ethen interrupted. That's not enough. I'm planning to take out an entire ship full of them. Netherfire froze. What did you just say? I said, if I'm doing this, I'm wiping them all out. One kill's not going to cut it. The flame spirit stared, then began to laugh, low and dangerous. Interesting. Fine then. Show me what you can do. Ethen's vision snapped back to the real world. His fiery eyes locked onto Ben. Ben, get ready. Got it. Ben smacked the Omnitrix. A flash of green light. He transformed into Stinkfly, wings spreading as he shouted, Stinkfly. Ready to roll? Clear the civilians, Netherfire said, his flaming body roaring brighter. Now! Stinkfly darted into the air, swooping between boats, scattering panicked tourists to safety. Ahead, the outline of Jonah Meyer's ship loomed like a steel fortress on the dark water. There it is, Netherfire muttered, eyes narrowing. The men aboard saw him coming, a streak of living fire in the sky, and began firing wildly. Shoot him down! Kill that freak! Bullets whizzed through the air, then melted before they even touched him. Wrong move, Netherfire growled. You chose fire as your enemy. He dove like a meteor, slamming into the deck with explosive force. The ship shook, flames spreading instantly across the hull. The air turned into a furnace. The metal itself began to warp. Aya! The poachers screamed as molten fists struck one after another, burning through armor and flesh alike. Each hit turned a man into ashes in an instant. No one could stop him. It wasn't a battle. It was annihilation. Some dropped their weapons and fell to their knees. Please don't kill us. We surrender. We were wrong. Please. Netherfire's eyes flickered. You're not wrong, he said coldly. You're just afraid of dying. He clenched his fists, then exhaled, suppressing the killing urge. Stay where you are. Don't move. I'll have the authorities handle you. The terrified survivors nodded frantically. Bang! The ship's hatch burst open. Jonah Meyer appeared in a mechanized exosuit, rage twisting his face. You think I'll just die like this, boy? Netherfire tilted his head. Perfect timing. He spread his flaming wings and launched upward, slicing through the air. Boom! The instant he passed the mech, it detonated in a massive explosion, fire swallowing Jonah Meyer completely. The difference in power was absurd. Jonah had never stood a chance. Netherfire landed among the wreckage. The water monster's egg, bring it here. One trembling henchman staggered forward, clutching a box. He opened it and revealed the shimmering egg. At Netherfire's signal, he threw it into the water. Beneath the surface, the Kraken emerged briefly, catching the egg in her tentacles before vanishing again. Then, Ethen raised both arms. A sphere of roaring fire gathered between his hands, bright as a miniature sun. Burn. He released it. The fireball fell upon the ship, consuming everything, steel, wood, and flesh, until all that remained was a floating grave of molten debris. Even those who tried to swim away were overtaken by the inferno. From below, the Kraken watched in terrified silence. The devil in flames was far scarier than she could ever be. Inside Ethen's mind, Netherfire's laughter rumbled approvingly. Ha ha! Once this kid decides on something, he doesn't hold back. I like him. Ding. Mission complete. Blood and War. Reward, 15 points. Netherfire. No, Ethen smiled faintly beneath the flames. And then, without another word, he turned and disappeared into the smoke. Night had fallen. After saying goodbye to Captain Swan, everyone returned to the rust bucket. As Gwen climbed in, Grandpa Max stopped Ethen, who was about to get inside. What's wrong, Grandpa? Ethen looked puzzled. Max spoke seriously. Ethen, the plumbers checked the lake. They found fragments of a sunken ship and a large amount of gray residue. I was the one who took care of them, Ethen admitted without hesitation. Max frowned, rubbing his forehead. Ethen, wouldn't it have been better to let them be arrested? They knew who we were. If we capture them alive, they become a threat to us. Any threat needs to be eliminated at the root. Ethen's voice was firm and unwavering. All right, I forgot about that. Max sighed. He couldn't really argue, so he said earnestly, Ethen, remember to stay calm. Don't let your emotions take over. Understand, Grandpa? Ethen nodded. Max released his shoulder, letting him climb into the rust bucket. As he watched Ethen leave, Max's expression softened with conflict. Ethen's actions clearly clashed with the plumber's no-kill policy. But Ethen's combat power is already beyond what the plumbers can offer him. It's not him who needs the plumbers. It's us who need him, Max muttered to himself. He could only hope that, over time, Ethen's mindset would change. That night, they had dinner with the fish they caught during the day. Afterward, everyone turned in for the night. As usual, Ethen slept lightly. Around midnight, his eyes snapped open. Ding! The host's Devil Watch template has expired. Would you like to keep it permanently in your ability pool? How much? Ethen asked casually. Devil Watch. Price, 600 reward points. What the? Ethen froze, eyes widening. That's 3 times the price of the Ultimate Evolution Watch. No way I can afford that. Fine, let's just get today's sign-in reward. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Omnitrix template. The template acquired is Errortrix. Errortrix, the most dangerous Omnitrix ever created. It possesses limitless functionality, no safety restrictions, and special combat-enhancing features. The only drawback, once activated, it can control its user. Without hesitation, Ethen said, Nope. Change it. Change it right now. He was brave enough to face the Devil Watch, but the Errortrix. Even he knew better. Ding. The host's ability pool contains first-generation Omnitrix, max level. Replace current template. Replace it. Ethen commanded. His right arm reverted to normal, and the familiar green Omnitrix appeared on his wrist once again. Much better. He exhaled, finally at ease. System. Open my personal panel. A digital display appeared before him. Host, Ethen. Physique. Peak human level. Spirit. Excellent. Genetics. Human. Partial resistance to alien DNA. Skills. Advanced hand-to-hand combat. Firearms mastery. Ability pool. First-generation Omnitrix. Max level. Reward points. 40. 40 points left. Not bad. System. Open the shop. A virtual screen expanded in front of him, with 3 major categories. Genes. Skills. Items. Can't afford gene upgrades, and I don't need new skills right now. Open the Items tab. The list unfolded. Alien Gene Enhancer, 40 points. Mini Military Drone, 30 points. Plumber Combat Uniform, Special, 10 points. Stone Guardian, 10 points. Unlike templates, these items were tangible. They could appear instantly in the real world. Ethen's eyes landed on one. System, what's the Plumber Combat Uniform? Ding. This uniform automatically adapts to your body size, provides moderate defense, and regulates temperature, keeping you cool in summer and warm in winter. Nice. I'll take it. Ding. Purchase successful. 10 reward points deducted. A neatly folded set of high-tech plumber combat gear materialized on his bed. Ethen picked it up and slipped it on. The material was surprisingly soft, even more comfortable than pajamas. As he imagined a different look, the uniform shifted, transforming into a yellow and white t-shirt, perfectly fitted. Perfect. Ethen smiled, lay back, and drifted off into a peaceful sleep. The next morning, Max woke early. Seeing Ethen's right arm back to normal, he breathed a sigh of relief. I'm glad you're okay, kid. He started up the rust bucket and drove it out of the woods. By the time the old vehicle rolled onto the open road, everyone was awake and ready for the next leg of their journey. A new day had begun, and new adventures awaited. A lonely stretch of desert highway. Only one old RV rolled along the empty road, the rust bucket. Ethen, this is your first time meeting Aunt Vera and Uncle Joe, so remember to make a good impression, Grandpa Max said cheerfully as he drove. Got it, Grandpa. Ethen checked his reflection in the small mirror. His hair was neatly combed back, and under his white t-shirt he wore the new Plumber combat suit. The outfit felt surprisingly comfortable. "Ugh, great Aunt Vera's house is so boring," Ben complained, resting his chin in his palm. Gwen glanced at Ethen, pursing her lips slightly. "With Ethen around, it won't be boring," she muttered under her breath. Everyone was lost in their own thoughts until the rust bucket entered a quiet, eerie town. The streets were lined with old-fashioned houses. A few elderly folks sat silently on porches or lawns. It wasn't peaceful, it was lifeless. "So boring," Ben groaned, staring out the window. They passed a house where an old man was repairing his roof. He slipped, flipped in the air, and landed on his feet perfectly. "Whoa, did you see that?" Ben exclaimed. Ethen and Gwen both looked out the window, puzzled. Everything seemed too calm. "I think your brain's overheated again, Ben," Gwen said dryly. "Yeah, twice over," Ethen added with a smirk. "Hey," Ben slumped in defeat as both of them laughed. "Our teamwork is flawless," Gwen said with a grin, high-fiving Ethen. Ethen chuckled softly, but his expression turned thoughtful. He remembered what was supposed to happen today. Better to be prepared. The rust bucket stopped in front of a small house. An elderly couple stood waiting by the door. The woman, plump, gray-haired, and smiling warmly, was Aunt Vera. The thin, stern-looking man beside her was Uncle Joe. The door opened. Max, Ben, Gwen, and Ethen. Aunt Vera greeted happily. Everyone climbed out to say hello. "Hi, Aunt Vera," Ethen said with a grin. Then he mischievously pulled out a water gun. "Here, let me give you a refreshing welcome." "Ha ha ha," Grandpa Max chuckled, shaking his head. Typical Ethen. Swish. Water shot out, splashing directly onto Aunt Vera before she could dodge. Her smile froze, then her skin melted. "AH!" she screamed as her body liquefied into a disgusting, pus-like alien creature. Her husband roared, his mouth revealing rows of sharp, jagged teeth. "Oh my gosh, Ethen, you just killed Aunt Vera." Ben yelped. I'll get a Band-Aid." Gwen panicked. Max's eyes widened in horror. "No, they're not Vera and Joe. They're aliens disguised as them." "You little brat," the fake Vera shrieked. "You're dead." Both aliens lunged forward. They thought the kid would be terrified, drop the gun, and run. But instead, Ethen smirked. "Not today." Bang, bang, bang. Streams of water blasted from the gun, melting their pus-like bodies into puddles of sludge. The two imposters stared at him in disbelief as they dissolved. "A human fearless?" "Phew, that was close," Ethen said casually, patting his chest. "Good thing I kept pulling the trigger." "What's going on? Why would Vera and Joe?" Max began, confused. Ben quickly explained what he'd seen earlier. Max's face turned grim. If that's true, this whole town might be crawling with these aliens. Everyone froze, except Ethen, whose eyes narrowed in interest. Moments later, several elderly residents stepped out of nearby houses, their eyes glowing faintly. "He's got a water gun," one whispered. "Should we rush him?" "Just knock the gun away first." As they muttered, their forms began to bubble and melt, revealing more pus monsters underneath. Ethen aimed his water gun. Click. No water. Empty. Out of ammo. He muttered. The monsters grinned wickedly and charged. "Ha ha! What now, kid? The girl's mine. I'll take the old man." They were ecstatic, ready to tear their prey apart. "Get lost, you freaks," Max yelled, hurling a rock at one of them. "Ethen," Gwen shouted. "They're afraid of water. Maybe use that alien that can control it." "Good idea." Ethen smacked the Omnitrix dial, spinning it until the icon he wanted appeared. "Let's make a splash." Click. A green flash burst outward, and standing there was Water Hazard. "Nice call, Gwen. We really do make a good team," Water Hazard said, giving her a thumbs up. "That's the alien you turned into back when I was Heat Blast," Ben said excitedly. "Let's call this one Water Hazard." "Sure, whatever you say, Ben," Ethen replied, amused. The battle began. Mission detected. The March of the Pus Monsters. Objective: eliminate all infected aliens in the town. Show them the power of a plumber in training. Reward 10 points. "Heh, I like the sound of that," Ethen grinned. Water Hazard spread his barnacle-like arms wide, then unleashed a torrent of pressurized water that merged into a massive roaring water dragon. Ultimate attack. Hydro Dragon Cannon. Oh no, what the heck is that? Please, mercy. The pus monsters froze in terror, their bravado gone. The water dragon struck like a tidal wave, blasting them apart. They disintegrated into sludge, gone forever. As silence fell, Water Hazard's eyes gleamed coldly. Now begins the cleanup, he said quietly. Objective: purge every last alien parasite in this town. In a quiet small town, an old man disguised as a slime-like creature leisurely mowed the lawn, tidied up the yard, and finally stretched out on a lounge chair to enjoy the warm sunlight. He looked content, basking in the heat. I really don't know how much longer I have to keep this disguise. The slime creature sighed. Maybe until our ship is repaired? Boom! A torrent of pressurized water blasted down, instantly tearing the slime creature apart and sending the lounge chair flying. Another one down. Ethen, transformed into Water Hazard, calmly lowered his hand and walked down the street with confident, unhurried steps. Every time he spotted a slime creature, he simply raised his arm, and another water cannon roared to life. Each blast struck true. Each target was obliterated. Before long, panic spread among the alien creatures. It's that water-shooting monster. He's wiping out the surface troops. Run. He's coming. Groups of slime monsters fled in terror, but they couldn't outrun Ethen's water cannons. With another wave of his arm, jets of water burst forth, blasting them apart in an instant. Come on, Ethen said with a faint smile. Running together just makes it easier for me. To the slime monsters, that smile was the face of death itself. Forget this. I'm out of here. One of them jumped into a nearby car, started the engine, and sped off. He glanced into the rearview mirror. Ethen was far behind. The creature sighed in relief. Saved? He's a demon. A total demon. He kills us without even blinking. Drip, drip. Raindrops splattered across the windshield. The slime monster looked up. Hello. Ethen was flying above him, propelled by streams of water shooting from beneath his feet. With one hand, he pried open the car window. Demon. You're a demon. The creature's desperate screams ended in another jet of high-pressure water. Silence followed. Within minutes, the entire town fell eerily quiet. Not a single slime creature remained in sight. Only in the dark corners did a few survivors tremble in fear, barely daring to breathe. He's a monster. This is worse than Vilgax raiding a city. Whoosh! A blue blur zipped past. XLR-8 came to a halt and called out. Ethen, I found them. They're hiding over there and over there. He quickly reported their locations before speeding off again. All right, let's finish this. Ethen flew over and unleashed another wave of water cannons. Under the terrified gazes of the remaining slime monsters, the blasts hit, and the creatures were completely disintegrated. Ding. Mission complete. Reward 10 points. Ethen landed lightly, stretching his arms. That's all of them already? Man, that was too quick. I wasn't even warmed up yet. Mark blinked in disbelief. Wait, what? Isn't the villain supposed to get the upper hand first before the hero wins? What kind of anime logic is this? Gwen chuckled, her eyes gleaming. With Ethen around, is there really any problem we can't handle? Ethen grinned. Let's eat first, then we'll hunt down their base. Eat? Oh yeah. XLR-8 zipped back, laughing. I want to see how fast I can finish a burger. The group entered a deserted fast food restaurant. Since the owner was gone, Mark left some cash on the counter and headed to the kitchen to whip up a few handmade burgers. Switch 4 arms. Ethen deactivated his transformation and became 4 arms, grabbing several burgers with ease and tasting them happily. Now, this was living. Meanwhile, XLR-8 challenged himself to see if he could finish a burger in 3 seconds flat. As the group enjoyed their meal, a massive explosion echoed in the distance. I saw it with my own eyes. A slime monster sobbed hysterically inside their hidden base. That devil came to town and slaughtered our entire surface force. My sister begged for mercy, he still killed her. The Earthlings sent their strongest monster after us. Damn it, we can't just sit and wait to die. He knows we're weak against water. We'll use that weapon. Anger burned in their gelatinous eyes as they shuffled into their spaceship one by one. Moments later, they emerged again, each carrying strange metal parts. Their bodies began to merge, fusing together along with the machinery. Ding! New mission. The supreme form of the slime monsters. Objective: defeat their ultimate combined form. Reward: 20 points. Ethen wiped his mouth with a napkin, crumpled it, and tossed it into the bin. He looked up, eyes gleaming with excitement. Everyone, let's go find their base. Gwen sighed. We're about to face terrifying aliens. And he's excited? Ben groaned. Please. To aliens, the terrifying one is Ethen. They piled into Grandpa Max's old rust bucket, driving toward the coordinates XLR-8 had found. After some time, Mark's eyes widened in shock. Whoa, this is insane. Ben leapt up from his seat, grinning. That's so cool. Ethen paused for a second, then nodded. Okay, that's actually pretty awesome. Gwen nearly fainted. What is wrong with you two? That thing is terrifying. Up ahead, a towering war machine, nearly 30 meters tall and made entirely of gleaming metal, stomped across the road. Its silver armor shimmered like a giant mecha, but inside, dozens of slime monsters had fused together, their bodies powering the monstrous machine. This was their ultimate weapon, their last trump card to destroy the water-wielding demon. And Ethen was smiling. Whoosh! Bang! Ben jumped out of the car and slammed the Omnitrix on his wrist. A flash of green light engulfed him. And in an instant, 4 arms stood tall and charged straight toward the enemy. So fast, Ethen's mouth twitched. You really can't wait, can you? Let him get some practice, Grandpa Max said, watching Ben run ahead with a proud smile. Even if Ben couldn't win, he could at least hold his own. And besides, Ethen was here. Hey, you big metal freak. 4 arms shouted up at the towering robot. You got a toy model of yourself? I'd totally buy one. Courting death. The war machine roared, its movements disturbingly smooth for something so massive, each joint powered by the fused slime monsters within. Its metal arms swung down like giant whips. Boom! The ground split open where 4 arms had stood just moments ago. He leapt high, landing against the war machine's chest. If you're not selling, fine. I'll beat you up and take the parts myself. 4 arms unleashed a flurry of punches. 4 fists slamming into the war machine's chest in rapid succession. Crack! A dent actually formed, but before it could deepen, the soft, gel-like structure of the fused monsters absorbed the force completely. What? 4 arms stared, stunned. Softness beats strength, kid. The war machine clenched its huge fist and swung. Bang! 4 arms was sent flying across the field, crashing into the grassy lawn. He groaned. Ack, that thing's tougher than Vilgax's robots. Struggling to get up, he watched the war machine advance step by step. Kid, you should have stayed that water-spraying freak. Turning into a musclehead was your last mistake. Oh, 4 arms smirked. You'll regret saying that. He turned his head. Ethen, it's your turn. The door of the rust bucket creaked open. Ethen stepped out calmly, eyes locked on the towering war machine. Is he going to use NGR? Gwen guessed. Grandpa Max's face grew serious. If he does, that'll level half the town. Only something like atomic steel or Titan Giant could tear that thing apart. But Ethen shook his head. I've got someone even stronger, more destructive, and far more stable. He raised his wrist, scrolling through the Omnitrix. I call him one of my 3 mythic gods. He slammed the dial down. Whoosh! A bright green flash erupted, and standing there was a massive, white and green, mech-like alien. Its arms were fitted with huge, cylindrical reactors glowing with dark green energy, its armor thick and gleaming like forged steel. Automix! The war machine blinked once, then sneered. You got a robot too? It's smaller than me. I'll crush it with 1 punch. 4 arms grinned from the sidelines. Super cool name. Go get him, Automix. Game over, the metallic voice rumbled. Boom! Omnitrix shot forward like a bullet, flying with a sonic boom that tore the air apart. The war machine barely had time to raise its hands. Crack, boom. A green, energy-charged uppercut slammed into its jaw, the impact shaking the entire town. A massive explosion of emerald nuclear energy burst outward, punching clean through the war machine's jaw and torso. I'm made to absorb attacks. The war machine's voice faltered. You can't. KRAKOM. The nuclear energy detonated inside it, shattering the monster from within and launching the 30-meter Titan high into the sky. For a moment, even Ben, Gwen, and Max forgot to breathe. Nuclear energy. Omnitrix raised both arms, his eyes glowing green. Melt. Boom. A beam of pure dark green energy shot upward, engulfing the falling war machine completely. Its silver armor liquefied in seconds, the metal dripping away like wax under the sun. Slime monsters began spilling out, faces twisted in shock and horror. What kind of demon is this? We're immortal. He can't kill us. Hide! Hide! But the energy wave swallowed everything. Their bodies melted, their regenerative cells destroyed. They realized the horrifying truth. Even immortality meant nothing before atomic energy. What immortality? Omnitrix's voice boomed coldly. One blast from me, and you're gone forever. His eyes glowed brighter, unyielding. There was no mercy, only judgment. Moments later, silence returned. The war machine, the slime creatures, everything was gone. Atomic power lowered his arms, energy fading away as calmly as if he'd just finished a light workout. Ding! Mission complete. Reward, 20 points. Ethen smirked. Mission cleared. Grandpa Max leaned against the rust bucket, still processing what he'd seen. How do I even write this in the report to the plumbers? Our intern destroyed an entire alien race with one shot. He shook his head. No one would believe it. If he hadn't seen it himself, even he'd think it was fiction. Oh man, Ben gasped, eyes shining. That was so awesome. I need an Omnitrix action figure right now. Wait, Gwen suddenly said, her expression changing. The townspeople. We need to find the missing residents before anything else. Atomic Power turned slightly, his voice calm and heavy. Thanks for your help. I'll leave the rest to you. That was how Ethen's strongest aliens operated. Do what they do best. Destroy the enemy completely. Leave the cleanup to the others. Before they left, Ben couldn't help but ask, Ethen, is Omnitrix your strongest alien? Ethen smiled faintly inside the armor. There are stronger ones. Ben froze, speechless. If this wasn't the strongest, then just how terrifying could the other two mythic gods be? With everyone's efforts, the people trapped in the underground nest were rescued, and the town slowly began to recover. They worked tirelessly until evening. In a bedroom on the second floor of Aunt Vera's house, Ben was sprawled across the bed, snoring loudly in an utterly undignified manner. At the foot of the bed, Ethen slept lightly, waking the moment the clock struck 12. Ding! The host's full-level, first-generation Omnitrix has expired. A robotic chime echoed in his mind as Ethen slowly opened his eyes. Since the full-level version of the original Omnitrix had already been stored in his ability pool, the system didn't prompt him to repurchase it. System, receive today's Omnitrix template. Ethen ordered calmly. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully receiving a new Omnitrix template. Template acquired. War Watch. War Watch. Asmith believed his own race wasn't strong enough, so he created the War Watch. Every DNA within it belonged to a natural-born warrior. Each form was built for battle, overflowing with raw, violent power. The watch automatically calibrates to match the user's strength. War Watch. Ethen frowned in surprise. He knew of the 3 mythical prototypes, the Love Watch, the Error Watch, and the Blood Watch. But War Watch, that was something new. In the original story, Vilgax should be gathering bounty hunters around this time to target the Tennysons. This War Watch might come in handy against them. Ethen thought for a moment, then nodded. All right, let's do this. Equip it. A brilliant orange light flashed on his wrist. In seconds, a powerful, battle-hardened watch formed, the War Watch. Almost immediately, its display began to rotate and recalibrate. Click, click. It scanned Ethen's body, reading his data and upgrading itself at a shocking pace. Ultimate evolution loading, unlocking additional DNA slots. As the calibration completed, the War Watch finally settled down. Ethen smirked. Good. Stable. All right. System. Open my personal panel. A glowing screen appeared before him. Host, Ethen. Physique. Top tier for a human. Spirit. Excellent. Genes. Human, with limited resistance to alien DNA. Skills. Mixed martial arts, marksmanship. Ability pool. Full-level first-generation Omnitrix. Reward points. 60. Ethen studied the panel for a while, then closed it with a sigh. I've got what I need. Time to save up those points for later. That night passed quietly. The next morning, Aunt Vera and Uncle Carl reluctantly saw them off as Grandpa Max's rusted old RV rolled back onto the road. Whoa! Ben leaned forward, eyes wide at the glowing orange device on Ethen's wrist. Ethen, dude, that new Omnitrix form looks awesome. Orange, the true color of a warrior. Thanks, Ethen chuckled. Though personally, I still prefer the Devil Watch's style. He gazed out the window, watching the desert stretch endlessly ahead. A strange tension stirred in his chest. Meanwhile, deep in space, inside Vilgax's massive warship, alarms blared through a metallic corridor. Laser blasts tore across the walls as small security drones swarmed toward three intruders. At the front charged a crab-like alien, one arm ending in a massive claw, a katana strapped to his back. Out of my way, Crab roared, slicing through the drones with his sword and crushing the rest beneath his claw. A purple-armored figure shot past him, rockets flaring from his back. He drew a glowing laser blade and cleaved through a squad of robots in one fluid motion. One damaged drone tried to flee. Bang! Without even looking, the purple warrior raised his gun and vaporized it with a single shot. 6-6 reporting in, he said coolly. Then, a shadow fell over the corridor. Boom! A massive mechanical brute crashed through the wall, only to be struck down instantly by a powerful punch from a towering armored alien on a hoverboard. The robot's torso shattered on impact. Impressive, a deep, resonant voice rumbled. The three turned toward the open bulkhead, where Vilgax watched them from within his command chamber. You've passed my test, Vilgax declared. Now you'll carry out your mission. The trio stepped forward, bowing slightly. There are 2 Omnitrixes on Earth, Vilgax said darkly, both in the hands of humans. Retrieve them for me, and you'll be handsomely rewarded. 2. Crab's eyes gleamed. Asmitha's getting clever. 6-6 smirked. 2 Omnitrixes, 3 of us, sounds fair. Vilgax's glare sharpened. Confidence is good, but don't underestimate them. He gestured, and robotic attendants rolled forward with 3 metal cases. These are weapons of war, Crab muttered, his grin widening as he accepted his. Vilgax's voice thundered. It's worth the price. Now go, bring me the Omnitrix. The ship's lower hatch opened. 3 crafts shot into the void, streaking toward Earth, toward the faint Omnitrix signals glowing on its surface. The latest war machines and the galaxy's deadliest bounty hunters. Vilgax growled, his crimson eyes blazing. Ben Tennyson, Ethen, you're both finished. Dust rolled across the desert highway with every turn of the RV's wheels. When the engine finally stopped, the thick haze settled back over the road. Click! Grandpa Max opened the door and stepped onto the scorching sand. Ahead stood a long-abandoned training base. Well, what do you know? He said, eyes brightening. There's actually a training field out here. The place was fully equipped. Obstacle courses, climbing walls, even a combat ring. Whoa, Ethen, we can totally train here. Ben Tennyson jumped out of the rust bucket, already brimming with energy. Ethen followed, scanning the facility that looked just like he remembered. So this is what it really looks like. The 2 of them stepped inside together. Following Ethen's suggestion, neither used their Omnitrixes. They relied only on their own bodies, pushing through each obstacle by hand and grit alone. It wasn't the fastest way to get stronger, but it built real determination. Half an hour later, Ben collapsed on the ground, drenched in sweat. Ethen, after all this, I finally get it. Sticking with something isn't that hard. Ethen chuckled, sitting beside him. You're doing great, Ben. He not only trained Ben, but also managed to keep their location hidden. Perfect. Ding. Mission detected. Ben Tennyson's perseverance. Objective. Under your guidance, Ben has learned the value of persistence. Use the War Watch to push him further. Let him feel true despair. Reward, 15 points. Ethen blinked. Wait, this mission's about Ben. He hesitated, glancing at the orange War Watch glowing on his wrist. Should I really? Before he could decide, a flash of blue light burst beside him. Diamond Head. Ben stood grinning in his crystalline form. You looked like you wanted a match, so I transformed first. Come on, let's fight. Ethen sighed. Great, guess we're doing this. He raised the War Watch and flipped its dial. All right, let's see what the War Watch can do. Let's go with Howling Wolf. SHHHHK. A blinding orange light filled the air. When it faded, a towering werewolf stood in Ethen's place. Jet black fur like armor, muscles coiled with power, eyes burning gold. If Ben's alien was Diamond Head, Ethen had become the War Wolf, the apex predator. Ben's jaw dropped. Ethen, your alien looks insanely cool. Ben, War Wolf's low growl vibrated through the air. Let's make this quick. Diamond Head clenched his fists, his forearms morphing into twin diamond hammers. The two faced each other, energy crackling invisibly between them. But War Wolf's aura was clearly stronger. Why do they always start fighting right away? Grandpa Max muttered, half amused, half exasperated. Gwen sighed. Two teenage boys who can both transform into aliens? I'd be more surprised if they didn't. Boom. Bang. War Wolf slashed forward, claws gleaming, while Diamond Head countered with a hammer strike. Clang. War Wolf's claws scraped across Diamond Head's chest, leaving only a faint mark. Diamond Head retaliated, slamming his crystal hammer into War Wolf's ribs, but Ethen barely flinched. Instead, his breathing quickened, and a wild, electric thrill surged through him. Deep inside, something awakened, a hunger for battle that refused to be contained. You got hit, and you're getting excited? Diamond Head's jaw tightened in disbelief. Then, War Wolf growled, a grin spreading across his muzzle. Watch closely. This is how you fight. He let out a deafening roar, a shockwave of sound that blasted Diamond Head off his feet. Before Ben could recover, War Wolf lunged, attacking with claws, kicks, and even his tail, each strike faster than the last. Power and technique fused together seamlessly. Diamond Head's crystalline body began to crack under the relentless assault. He couldn't even counter. All he could do was block and get pummeled. Wah. Is it just me? Or does that feel like I'm getting hit? Grandpa Max winced, rubbing his own chest. Gwen's eyes widened. He's not just fighting, he's enjoying it. The more intense it gets, the stronger he becomes. War Wolf was a whirlwind, a living engine of destruction. Each blow made him faster, sharper, more ferocious. His muscles tightened, his aura burned hotter, his power kept climbing. Diamond Head struggled to move. Every attack deflected before it could land. Cracks spidered across his armor. In front of War Wolf, Ben had become nothing more than a durable training dummy. No way. Ethen, is this what your enemies feel? Diamond Head's voice trembled. Rah! Keep fighting. War Wolf's roar split the air as his fighting spirit erupted, his body swelling slightly with sheer power. This is insane. Diamond Head groaned. He's unstoppable. Ding. Mission complete. Reward, 15 points. The chime snapped War Wolf back to his senses. He halted mid-swing, breathing hard, as Diamond Head collapsed to the ground. Regaining control, Ethen forced the fighting urge down and scratched the back of his neck awkwardly. Sorry, I kinda got carried away. Grandpa Max scowled. You think? You look like a full-on battle maniac. Gwen swallowed hard, uneasy. That was terrifying. It's okay, Gwen. Wolf knelt down, gently patting her shoulder. I'd never hurt you. She smiled faintly, eyes shining. I know. But before Ethen could say more, his wolf ears twitched. A streak of light blazed across the sky, a meteor plunging into the desert nearby. It struck with a thunderous boom, leaving a crater and a rising cloud of smoke. From the haze, a shadow emerged, a hulking figure with one massive claw and a briefcase in hand. Two stupid earthlings with IQs under 20, the creature sneered. I've been watching from orbit. I waited for you to wear yourselves out before coming down to finish you. Crab stepped out of the smoke, his armor gleaming under the sun. Diamond Head raised a shaky arm. You came at the perfect time. I don't know why you're hunting us, but thanks. Crazy human, Crab muttered, unimpressed. His eyes locked on a Wolf instead. In a blur, Wolf dashed forward, his massive frame filling Crab's vision, golden eyes blazing with wild excitement. A fierce grin split his face. Another free punching bag had just volunteered. Battle Maniac Ethen was online and ready for round 2. You've turned into a wolf cub, and now you're asking for death. Crab swung his massive claws with disdain, slashing toward the charging Wolf. Wolf lowered his head and unleashed a blast of sonic energy toward the ground. The powerful shockwaves cracked the surface, propelling his figure forward in a blur. Bang! Crab barely had time to raise his claws before Wolf slammed into him head-on, his fists pounding like artillery. The metal suitcase beside Crab hit the ground with a heavy thud. Crack! Crack! Fissures spread across Crab's exoskeleton, even creeping up to his head. His pupils trembled in disbelief. This earthling isn't weak at all. He's a complete monster. Get out of here! Crab roared, drawing the samurai sword from his back and thrusting it toward Wolf's waist. But Wolf's sharp eyes caught the movement instantly. He twisted aside and avoided the strike. Dust fell from his fur as he straightened up, his tone turning dangerously calm. Your sneak attack worked once. That won't happen again. Crab didn't respond. He simply grabbed the metal suitcase from the ground. Clack, clack, clack. The case unfolded and transformed, snapping into a massive metal exoskeleton that locked onto his body. What is that? Wolf narrowed his eyes, his pulse quickening. It's a specialized exosuit, Grandpa Max said sharply from a distance. It boosts kinetic energy to impossible levels. It's a planetary invasion weapon. He gasped. Only Vilgax ever used something like that. And now he's using it against Ethen? Ben clenched his fists. That's bad. Broken. Ben tried to rise, but he was too weak to help. Come on, Ethen. A familiar mechanical chime echoed in Ethen's ears. Ding. Mission. Cosmic Bounty Hunter Crab. Objective. Defeat Overlimited Crab using brute force. Reward. 20 points. Ethen grinned through the Wolf's fanged snarl. A high-value target. Crab's confidence wavered. What is he smiling for? Boom. Wolf's muscles bulged. With a feral howl, he shot forward like lightning. Swish. Crab's exosuit flared with blue light. His kinetic energy spiked as he charged forward like a freight train. Crash. The two collided, shaking the desert itself. A massive crater formed at the impact site, sand exploding outward in waves. Inside the pit, claws and fists clashed in a blur. Wolf's strikes tore through Crab's pincers, while his tail lashed like an iron whip, colliding with Crab's sword in showers of sparks. Neither could gain the upper hand. The entire desert trembled under their blows. This earthling, Crab thought, his body shuddering. Even with my exoskeleton, I can't overpower him. As the battle raged, Gwen exhaled in relief. Looks like Ethen's winning. He gets stronger the longer he fights. Ben nodded weakly. That's just how he is. Grandpa Max, however, looked toward the sky. I just hope there's only one cosmic bounty hunter. Seconds passed. Crab's movements began to slow, his exosuit running out of power. Wolf's pace didn't falter. If anything, he got faster, more feral, more relentless. Crab could barely raise his claws now, only blocking blows, his offense gone. Werewolf bared his fangs. Boring. Let's finish this. He lunged, biting down on Crab's claw with savage force. What? Crab tried to pull back, but Werewolf's kick followed through, slamming into his neck like an axe. Once. Twice. Over and over. Crab's defenses shattered. He stumbled back, body twitching, before collapsing with a heavy boom. Ding. Mission complete. Reward, 20 points. Ethen, still in werewolf form, exhaled deeply. It's done. Ben peeked over the crater's edge. He actually won again. Ethen raised his claws, aiming for Crab's head, ready to finish it. Wait, Ben shouted. We haven't asked him why he's after us. Crab's voice rasped, weak but defiant. You really don't know? You've angered the overlord of the galaxy, Vilgax. He sent me, and 2 others. His eyes dimmed. Then a shadow passed overhead. Whoosh. A formation of alien craft streaked across the sky, descending fast. Werewolf's ears twitched. He glanced once at Crab, then leapt from the crater, scooping up Ben as he sprinted for the rust bucket. Let's move, Gwen, Max yelled. The old RV roared to life, kicking up dust as it sped away. Inside, Ethen's transformation faded. He wiped sweat from his brow, chuckling weakly. That got out of hand. Back in the crater, Crab groaned, clutching his cracked neck. I slipped. That's all. You believe me, right? Diamond Head and 6-6 exchanged unimpressed looks. Crab sighed. That Earth lunatic is strong. It'll take all 3 of us to bring him down. 6-6 smirked. Good. I like a challenge. Diamond Head nodded. Then it settled. They turned their eyes toward the horizon, toward the one who had humiliated them all. The Earth Madman, the boy named Ethen. The rust bucket rattled through the desert, finally rolling into a long-abandoned town. Dust coated every crumbling building. The cracked dirt roads were uneven. The wind howled through hollow windows, and the silence was suffocating. So Ethen, Ben asked, glancing around warily, how are we going to fight this time? There are 2.5 of them on the other side. Ethen raised an eyebrow. 2.5. Ben crossed his arms and said seriously, you beat that crab monster so bad he's half paralyzed, so that counts as half. Gwen groaned, rubbing her temples. Ben, now's really not the time for jokes. Ethen wrung out his towel calmly. Ben, is your Omnitrix fully recovered? Ben checked the dial. Yeah, cool down's over. Ethen stepped out of the small bathroom section of the rust bucket and spoke clearly, every word measured. Good. Here's the plan. We rest for a few minutes. Then you transform into XLR8, release an Omnitrix signal, and see if they can track us. And then... Ben grinned, clearly expecting a tag team fight. We take them down together? Ethen shook his head. Then you run. Ben's jaw dropped. I'll take on all 3 myself. His tone was calm, his face unreadable, but the words hit like thunder. The 3 bounty hunters aren't weak, Grandpa Max warned, his brow furrowed. Even if you use 4 arms or auto mix, there's no guarantee they won't have counters ready. Yeah, Ben protested. I'm part of this fight too. Ethen raised his wrist, the familiar green and black Omnitrix gleaming faintly. Do you remember what I told you about the ultimate evolution function? Ultimate evolution, Gwen murmured. Ben's eyes widened. You mean ultimate 4 arms? The 3 of them said it together, remembering the terrifying power of Ethen's last transformation. I'll use the ultimate form to finish all 3 of them. Ethen's voice dropped lower. But when that happens, I might lose control. I might even hurt you guys by mistake. So when it starts, run. Even Ethen didn't know what might happen when he unleashed a full ultimate evolution. Ben swallowed hard, recalling the chaos when Ethen became werewolf. Okay, he said softly. I'll listen. Grandpa Max gave a weak smile. Good, because if he goes off again, the 3 of us together still wouldn't stand a chance. Gwen placed her hand on Ethen's chest. If you feel yourself slipping, remember us. You're not fighting alone. Ethen's expression softened. I know. A few minutes later, Ethen and Ben stepped out of the rust bucket. The vehicle pulled away, disappearing into the sand dunes. Ben raised his Omnitrix, took a deep breath, and slammed down the dial. XLR8. Blue light flashed. The armored velociraptor-like alien appeared, his body humming with speed. He darted off through the ghost town, racing through every street corner, leaving trails of dust in his wake. Far away, 3 figures stopped at the same time. Diamond Head, 6'6", and Crab each pulled out a radar device. Omnitrix signal detected, they said in unison. Diamond Head clicked his tongue. How careless can he be? Transforming now, when there are 3 of us. Is he asking to die? 6'6" smirked under his mask. Crab's claws snapped together with a metallic clack. Then let's tear him apart. In the next instant, Crab's legs began to spin like propellers as he lifted off the ground. Diamond Head stepped onto his hoverboard, and 6'6" fired up his jetpack. The 3 bounty hunters rocketed toward the town like missiles. Inside the town, XLR-8 skidded to a stop at the entrance, panting. Okay, I swear I'm not tired from running. It's just way too hot. He wiped his forehead dramatically. Suddenly, the sunlight dimmed. A shadow fell over him. A chill ran down his spine. Ooh, refreshing, he muttered. The murderous intent is cooling me off. He looked up. A tall, armored figure floated above on a hoverboard, Diamond Head. Whoa! XLR-8 gasped, eyes sparkling. That board is so cool. Crab roared and charged from behind. 6'6" dove after him. XLR-8 yelped and spun around, bolting down another street at lightning speed. The 3 bounty hunters gave chase, but all they saw were afterimages. Then suddenly, boom! A brilliant orange light erupted around a corner, flooding the town with heat and pressure so intense it warped the air. 6'6" froze midair. Diamond Head braked his hoverboard. Crab stopped spinning, his metal claws trembling. They knew that light. The sound of heavy footsteps followed. Out from the dust strode a towering figure. From massive arms, crimson skin etched with scars, muscles bulging like coiled steel. A long white beard framed his grim face. The ultimate 4 arms. 4 arms, you're up. XLR-8 yelled, speeding off as planned. The bounty hunters stared. What kind of name is that, God of War? Diamond Head shouted. The Crimson Titan raised his fists and pressed the Omnitrix symbol on his chest. Ultimate Evolution activate. The device emitted a roar of energy. Crash! The orange light exploded again, flooding every street. His muscles swelled. His height doubled. His crimson skin hardened into armor plates. The ground cracked beneath his feet as spikes jutted from his soles for traction. The very air trembled under his power. The true ultimate God of War had arrived. Diamond Head swallowed. What is that? 6'6's scanner blinked red. Power levels off the charts. Crab's eyes widened, dread flooding his circuits. I fought that energy before, and barely survived. Diamond Head's jaw tightened. I don't get it, but I feel it. He clenched his fists. This Earthling's evolution is terrifying. That's him, the lunatic from Earth. Crab screamed, pointing at the towering figure ahead, the ultimate God of War. The ultimate God of War slowly looked up, his piercing gaze locking onto Crab. He waited silently for a few seconds. No mission prompt appeared. That meant Crab's fate was already sealed. Oh no, Crab gasped, fear flooding his eyes as he instinctively tried to retreat. Boom! The ultimate God of War bent low, his feet crushing the ground beneath him. In an instant, his body vanished, leaving behind only a massive crater where he had stood. A crimson comet streaked through the air and tore past Crab. Bang! Moments later, the ultimate God of War landed heavily on the cracked street, back turned toward Crab. Slowly, he stood up and said coldly, "You're already dead." What? Crab stammered. Before he could react, a violent red light erupted from his body. Cracks split across his armor, and then, boom! The red light exploded outward, obliterating Crab in a fiery blast. Instant kill. Diamond Head and 6'6 both swallowed hard. Neither dared breathe too loudly. Now, then, the ultimate God of War said, rubbing his 4 hands together. His eyes glinted dangerously. "Show me your strongest forms. I don't want this fight to be boring." His tone carried a deep emptiness, like a warrior too powerful to feel challenged anymore. 6-6 placed his metallic case behind him. With a sharp click, it unfolded and transformed into a full-body mechanical exosuit. Diamond Head threw away his heavy gear, revealing his crystalline body underneath. His aura flared to life as he took a battle stance. Ding! Mission: the strongest bounty hunters in the galaxy issued. Objective: defeat 6-6, full power plus Diamond Head overdrive mode. Reward: 50 points. The ultimate god of war grinned. Not bad. Boom! His leg muscles bulged as he shot forward like a missile, charging straight at 6-6. Bang! Startled, 6-6 blasted his jetpack at full power, trying to flee. Get down here, flyboy! The ultimate god of war roared, throwing a massive punch that ripped through the air, creating a shockwave like a giant cannon. The air blast struck 6-6 mid-flight, swatting him out of the sky like a bug. Crash! 6-6 slammed into the ground, carving a deep crater. His jetpack sputtered, one leg twitching weakly outside the pit. Diamond Head gasped. Even Vilgax wasn't this terrifying. Your turn, the ultimate god of war said, fixing his gaze on Diamond Head. Boom! 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 He charged, shattering the ground beneath each step. All four fists clenched, he unleashed a barrage of punches. Diamond Head crossed his arms, rapidly generating crystal barriers, but the war god's blows shattered them effortlessly. My crystal growth speed can't even keep up with his destruction. Diamond Head realized in panic. He jumped onto his hoverboard and sped away, racing through the ruined town. Buildings collapsed as the ultimate god of war chased him like a rampaging beast. Don't come any closer, Diamond Head shouted desperately. He suddenly spun around, gathering his energy into one final strike. Crystals erupted from his arms, fusing into a massive diamond battle axe. Bang! The axe slammed into the war god's shoulder. For a moment, the colossal figure stopped moving, head lowered. No way, did I knock him out? Diamond Head muttered, stunned. That easy. But then, the ultimate god of war sighed deeply and looked up. His eyes, once burning with battle spirit, now shimmered with sorrow. Even after giving you every chance, you're still so fragile. That sneak attack, it only tickled. Diamond Head froze. Boom! A single hook punch pierced straight through his chest, sending him flying into a crater. He tried to move, but couldn't. Every bone in his body screamed in pain. Why did I even evolve into the ultimate form when the battle ends so quickly? The ultimate god of war crouched beside him, his expression heavy with emptiness. Ding! Mission complete. Plus 50 points. But even victory felt hollow. Ahem! Diamond Head chuckled bitterly. So this is it. I was just a piece of trash in your way. He smiled weakly. Sorry, Earthling. I couldn't make it fun for you. Still, even as he lay dying, he felt a spark of hope. If someone this strong fought for Earth, maybe Vilgax could truly be defeated. A flash of light appeared nearby. XLR-8 skidded to a stop beside the war god. Ethen, you did it. You took them both down. Wait, what's with that face? The ultimate god of war said nothing. He just started walking toward XLR-8. Oh. XLR-8 turned and bolted. The war god chased him through the dusty streets. One tall, one fast. Two figures running wildly under the afternoon sun. Moments later, Ben's transformation timed out. He stumbled and fell to the ground, exhausted. The ultimate god of war stopped before him, clutching his chest, gritting his teeth. Just a little longer. Ben looked up and muttered, Man, you really overdid it this time. 5 minutes later, the crimson armor faded, revealing Ethen's true form. He stood there awkwardly, face half buried in embarrassment. He'd been acting all cool a moment ago. Now he just looked ridiculous. Outrageous. Ethen, Ben, Gwen, and Grandpa Max stood before the fallen bounty hunter, 6-6. The alien lay twitching on the ground, barely conscious. Ethen, Grandpa Max placed a hand on his shoulder and lowered his voice. My suggestion is there's no need to kill 6-6. I'll contact the plumbers to arrest him, and you'll get full credit for the capture. Ethen glanced at Max, pretending to hesitate, then nodded. All right, Grandpa, I'll listen to you. Good. Ethen, Grandpa Max smiled proudly. I'm glad you listened to me. Finally, it seemed his words were getting through. Maybe Ethen wasn't as reckless as before. 6-6 coughed weakly, daring to speak now that the tension had lifted. Ethen's eyes narrowed, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. You think you're safe just because I promised Grandpa? Fine, I won't kill you directly, but an accident can always happen. The group turned and headed over to where Diamond Head was lying, still injured but conscious. You can still talk, right? Ethen asked calmly. Who sent you here? What was your mission? Diamond Head took a deep breath and replied without hesitation. Vilgax. Asmith, they want to seize the Omnitrix. He revealed everything he knew without resistance, handing over every detail and even the bounty credits he'd earned. Ben and Gwen were left speechless by the amount of information. Ethen and Grandpa Max, however, stayed calm. They had already suspected as much. So Vilgax really is the so-called overlord of the galaxy. Ben muttered, Ahem. Diamond Head glanced at Ethen and said firmly, Vilgax was the overlord, because he's never faced Ethen before. Ethen chuckled softly. You're exaggerating. I don't care about being any kind of overlord. Diamond Head blinked. You sure didn't look so humble when you were beating the life out of us. But Ethen added casually, if Vilgax comes looking for trouble, I'll deal with him. Diamond Head smiled in admiration. To show my sincerity, I've decided to give you something. He handed over his hoverboard. This is yours now. Thanks, Ethen said with a nod, then looked at Ben, who was practically glowing with excitement. Ben, I'm not really good with hoverboards. Why don't you test it out for me? And keep it once you've got the hang of it. Really? Awesome. Ben jumped up, taking the hoverboard eagerly. After explaining everything, Diamond Head stood to leave. Before going, he gave Ethen a meaningful glance. Ethen met his gaze and subtly nodded, then flicked his eyes towards 6-6. SHHK. A crystal blade shot through the air, piercing 6-6 cleanly through the head. The alien's limbs went limp. Dead. Completely dead. And in a rather comical pose, too. Grandpa Max's jaw dropped. Diamond Head, what on earth are you doing? Diamond Head stammered, glancing between Ethen and Max before blurting. He and I had a grudge, so I, took care of it. Max groaned, rubbing his temples. Diamond Head, you can't just go around executing people. That's not how we do things. You're right, Diamond Head said quickly. Anyway, I'll be going now. Before Max could say another word, Diamond Head bolted into the distance. Max sighed helplessly, glancing down at 6-6's body. Unbelievable. Come on, he muttered. Let's go home. Ben hopped on the hoverboard and wobbled his way toward the rust bucket, nearly falling several times, much to Gwen's amusement. Ethen chuckled quietly. Guess he's still learning. Back at the RV, the group had dinner, cleaned up, and turned in for the night. Only Grandpa Max stayed up, sitting in the driver's seat and typing on his plumber's PDA, reporting Ethen's recent missions. After some thought, he decided to leave out the more questionable parts. He only wrote about Ethen's heroics. I believe he can change, Max murmured. At least today, he listened. Meanwhile, at Plumber HQ, the officers reviewing Ethen's battle records were completely stunned. This kid's supposed to be a trainee, one of them exclaimed. Are you sure this isn't young Max Tennyson from 50 years ago? The whole department was in disbelief. Midnight. Ethen woke up on schedule, yawning and stretching. Ding! The War God template has expired. Would you like to store it permanently in the ability pool? No, Ethen replied instantly. Just give me today's new template. The system chimed again. Ding! Congratulations! You've unlocked a new Omnitrix template. Template obtained. Love Watch, prototype version. Love Watch, first edition contains 10 female alien DNAs. Each one is a unique warrior who may either fight beside you or fall in love with you. Ethen's eyes widened. System, what are you doing? I'm only 12. Still, the watch itself was stunning. A sleek heart design shimmered where the War Watch had been. The Error Watch, the Demon Watch, the War Watch, And now, the love watch, Ethen sighed. What a lineup. He checked his reward points, 145 total. Not a bad haul for one day. Suddenly, his backpack buzzed. He pulled out his phone, squinting at the bright screen. New message received. Payment from Plumber Federation, International Hydroelectric Organization. Amount, 100,000 US dollars. Deposited into Ethen's personal account. Ethen smiled. Looks like I won't be short on cash anytime soon. He put the phone away, lay back down, and drifted off to sleep. Somewhere in the Milky Way, aboard Vilgax's warship, inside the massive control hall, Vilgax stood before a towering holographic screen. On it played battle footage, Ethen's various transformations, his fights against Ben, and the crushing defeat of Crab and 6-6. The image froze on Ethen's final blow. Vilgax's crimson eyes narrowed. How could this little brat be so strong? He growled, his tentacles twitching with restrained fury. Then his lips twisted into a grin. It seems Earth will be the first symbol of my conquest across the galaxy. His blood boiled with ambition as he barked his orders. Continue monitoring that planet, and speed up construction of my training chamber. Yes, Lord Vilgax, a robotic soldier replied, voice filled with mechanical devotion. Despite his species being physically weak, Vilgax had pushed himself beyond all limits, conquering world after world through sheer will and brutality. And now, he was ready to begin again. The next morning, Grandpa Max's old rusted RV rolled through the blazing desert. Ugh! Ben let out a startled yell, pointing at Ethen's wrist. Ethen, what the heck is that? Gwen blinked. What's wrong? Don't tell me your arm turned all demonic again. Ben scrunched his nose. No, but he's wearing a pink watch now. Dude, seriously? The morning began with Ben's loud protest echoing through the van. Ethen rubbed his eyes, yawning. What's your problem this time? You all know my watch changes every now and then. Yeah, but pink. Ben crossed his arms. That's just weird. I think it looks cute, Gwen said, eyes sparkling. Grandpa Max smiled. All right, enough chatter. Eat your breakfast. I'm taking you kids somewhere unforgettable. After breakfast, the RV stopped in front of an old desert theme park. A sun-faded sign read, Fantasy Light Park. Even though it was peak season, the ticket line was nearly empty. The three easily got in. Inside, the park felt abandoned. Broken rides, dusty souvenir stalls, and a hollow wind blowing through the empty paths. Grandpa, has this place always been this dead? Ethen asked. Hey, don't underestimate Fantasy Light Park. Max said proudly. I used to come here all the time. Back in the day, this place had charm. The group walked deeper into the park until they began noticing strange warning signs. Do not enter. Danger ahead. Do not touch anything inside the house. They followed the trail of signs to a small building. Cool, Ben grinned, pushing the door open without hesitation. Ethen and the others followed him inside. In the center of the room sat a giant ball of yarn with a sign, Do not touch. Oh, come on, Ben groaned. They lure us in just to say that. Ethen stepped closer, chin resting on his hand. Something about the ball felt alive. Was there an alien trapped inside? Or maybe DNA energy? Suddenly, the watch on his wrist chimed. Ding. Mission. DNA of light issued. Objective. Ben's been obsessed with the feedback for a while. You can't give him the real deal, but help him get something close. That light. Reward. 10 points. A smirk spread across Ethen's face. Looks like we got a mission. He raised his wrist, flipping open the watch face. Let's see what you've got for me. He scrolled through the silhouettes, then pressed one. Ghost. The watch pulsed with pink light. Stop. Everyone shielded their eyes as a glowing form took shape in front of them. When the light faded, a mysterious girl stood there, tall, with long silvery gray hair and ruby-red eyes. One side of her face was hidden behind her bangs, giving her a haunting beauty. A gray coat wrapped around her curvy figure, and a faint, ghostly aura rippled beneath her feet. Whoa, Ben breathed. Should we call her Ghost Girl? Gwen narrowed her eyes, sensing the eerie energy around the newcomer. The Ghost Girl looked around, confused, then at Ethen. Why am I here? Did you summon me? Ethen met her gaze calmly. Ghost Girl, I need you to investigate that ball. Use your phase shift ability. Her eyes widened slightly. He knows my abilities? Without another word, she turned translucent and slipped into the massive ball of yarn. Moments later, she reappeared, voice echoing with static. There are many small creatures inside, glowing like batteries. Catch one. Bring it out, Ethen ordered. She hesitated, then nodded. Understood. After a moment's struggle, she dragged out a ball of crackling energy. It sparked violently, transforming into a bright, buzzing alien of pure light. The creature snarled, then fired a lightning bolt straight at Ethen. So fast, Ghost Girl gasped, unable to track its movements. Boom! The blast hit Ethen square in the chest. Ethen! Max shouted as Gwen ran to his side. But Ethen merely bent his knees, brushing the smoke from his jacket. Then he looked up, completely unharmed. He grabbed the dazed light creature by the head. Watch where you're aiming, kid. The alien froze, trembling. What kind of monster is this human? Ben, Ethen said calmly. This one's perfect for your Omnitrix. Try scanning it. Collect its DNA. As Ben followed his instructions, Ethen turned back to Ghost Girl. I'll let that little mistake slide, he said, voice firm. Next time, don't miss. I understand, she stammered, biting her lip. I didn't mean to. Though she tried to sound calm, her heart was racing. There was something about Ethen, his confidence, his control, that stirred something unfamiliar in her. Until I figure out how to escape this watch, she thought, glancing at him, I'll just have to obey for now. But deep down, she knew, this boy wasn't like the others. Snap! The Omnitrix on Ben's wrist lit up with glowing DNA sequences, pulsing with energy. After a few seconds, the screen stabilized, displaying the figure of the light. The captured energy alien was released from the Omnitrix, landing on the ground with a tired, sulky expression. Awesome, Ben hooped. Ethen, I got the light's DNA. Ethen grinned. Nice. Looks like you've just unlocked a new form, Ben 11. Ding. Mission complete. Reward, 10 points. 10 points wasn't much, but hey, every bit counted. Nearby, Ghost Girl phased back into view. She scooped up the remaining stray energy and sealed the yarn sphere before turning to Ethen with folded arms. Her tone was cold, but curious. Anything else you need me to do? Actually, Ethen smirked. Yeah, there is. What now? She asked, tilting her head. Wait here. Ethen left the room and returned a moment later, carrying a few bottles of Coke. He handed them out, including one to her. For me, Ghost Girl blinked, surprised. Just a small thank you, Ethen said warmly. You've done well. Have a drink with us. Ghost Girl turned away slightly, pretending not to care. T-Sage, I don't even like Coke. I just happen to be thirsty. She took a sip, and her crimson eyes widened slightly. The fizz and sweetness hit her senses. Earthlings drink this stuff every day, she thought, a small smile flickering on her lips before she caught herself. Watching them, Gwen felt an odd twinge in her chest she couldn't quite explain. Later that evening, after exploring a bit more of the park, the group checked into a themed hotel inside Fantasy Light Park. They turned on the AC, flopped onto the beds, and switched on the TV, not realizing that danger was quietly stirring nearby. Inside the building where the yarn sphere had been stored, a small surveillance drone buzzed into the room. The drone scanned the shredded sphere, analyzing large quantities of electric energy detected, multiple alien entities inside. Its arms unfolded, cutting deeper into the remains. Zap! Zap! Bolts of lightning erupted from the debris, each one reforming into another light. The reborn lights looked at one another, and then at the hovering drone. Their eyes flashed mischievously before they surged forward. Clang! Crack! The drone deployed cables to trap them, but the lights overloaded it with a surge of electricity. Sparks exploded across the room as they merged, growing stronger. Meanwhile, back in the hotel room, Ben stretched and yawned. Ethen, you're like a summoner now, and I've got my new life form. Want to head out and test them? It's so boring in here. Sure, Ethen said, shrugging. TV's dull anyway. Just don't break anything, Grandpa Max warned with a sigh. If one of you transforms, I can deal with it. If both of you do, well, let's just say I hope Ethan's the responsible one. The two boys exchanged grins and snuck out through the back of the hotel. They emerged into a vast, empty stretch of desert behind the park. Ben slammed his palm onto the Omnitrix. Time to shine. Green light flashed, and the alien appeared midair, crackling with energy. Call me. The light, he shouted proudly, electricity sparking from his fingertips. All right, your turn, Ethen. Ben laughed. Ethen grinned, twisting the dial of his love watch. All right, then, let's do this for real. He selected one of the glowing silhouettes, the shapeshifter. Note, she is a female counterpart of Upgrade, the galvanic mechamorph alien from Ben 10. Like Upgrade, she can reshape her body, merge with devices, and change form at will. Hence, she's a shapeshifter. With a press of a screen, pink light flared, and a curvy figure appeared, energy rippling off her metallic body. She looked at him shyly. Ethen, what do you need me to do? You know my name already? He asked, a bit surprised. The ghost girl told us, she said softly. Oh, do I have a name too? Ethen thought for a second, then smiled. How about Transformer Girl? Transformer Girl, she repeated quietly, her lips curling into a faint smile. Ethen pointed toward Ben's light form. You'll be sparring with him. Bring it on, the light shouted, fists crackling with energy. Just as they squared off, zazzap, zazzap, dozens of lightning streaks struck down from the sky, condensing into more light creatures above them. Hee. The lights laughed in unison, descending toward the group like a storm. Ben's eyes widened. Wait, those are more of me. The nearest light lunged forward. Ben dodged and countered with an electric punch, knocking it aside. Ethen's instincts kicked in. Transformer Girl, use your energy beam. Target the one on the left. Her eyes glowed pink, firing a focused beam that sliced through a charging light. Together, she and Ben held their ground for the moment. Let's move, Ethen shouted, leading them deeper into the park. The trio burst into the central square, only to stop dead in their tracks. The ground trembled. Before them loomed an enormous electric giant, nearly 8 meters tall, its body made of tangled wires, metal scraps, and glowing energy cores. At its head was a uniquely shaped light, fused to Vilgax's robotic tech, glowing like a god of thunder. Ding! Mission triggered. Miracle of the light. Objective: the lights have merged into an electric giant. Stop it before it destroys the park. Reward: 20 points. Ethen's throat went dry. Oh, great. So much for an easy mission. The electric giant roared, its voice echoing through the desert. Ben charged in first, trying to absorb its power. Let's see who's brighter. But the giant's chest opened, firing a colossal electric beam that blasted Ben backward. Transformer Girl, cover its head. Try to seize control. Ethen ordered. Got it, she called back, sprinting through the debris. But the giant launched shockwaves of lightning, forcing her to dodge desperately. Ben was caught in another laser barrage, barely keeping up. Ethen clenched his fists, frustration burning in his chest. The Transformer can't reach it. Ben's pinned down. If this keeps up, he looked around frantically. No machinery, no metal, nothing nearby for her to merge with. Then his gaze fell on his own watch. A crazy, dangerous idea sparked in his mind. Wait a second. He looked at the love watch, lips curling into a grin. This might actually work. Transformer Girl, Ethen shouted toward the shape-shifting woman. Come back. Yes, Ethen. The alien jogged back to him, panting. Did you find a mechanical object I can fuse with? Fuse with the love watch. It's the only mechanical thing here, and it's high-tech. Your power comes from a love watch, so it shouldn't reject you. Ethen raised the pink watch on his wrist, eyes filled with confidence. The love watch was a mechanical object too, so why couldn't it be possessed? Although Ben never tried anything like this in the original show, Ethen dared to experiment. All right, let's give it a try. The Transformer Girl took a deep breath and began to cover the love watch with part of her body. A small section of her form wrapped tightly around Ethen's wrist, while the rest coiled up his arm. How's it feel? Ethan's eyes gleamed. Shum. The love watch began to glow. Bright pink energy condensed into the shape of a giant heart. The alien gasped in awe. Ethen, I think I can control the love watch's energy. What functions do you have? Explain while you show me. Ethen gave quick, steady orders. Click, click. The love watch pulsed with DNA energy that reflected across Ethan's body. Dark green armor formed around him, wrapping him completely and giving him incredible strength. This was the Transformer Girl's power forming DNA armor around him. Besides, she said excitedly, I can also channel the power of my 9 sisters. Ethen blinked. Biotech energy symbiosis? This was beyond anything he'd seen before. All right then. He turned toward the towering lightning giant in the distance. Give me the power of XLR-8. As soon as the words left his mouth. Swoosh! DNA circuits flared in his ankles, simulating XLR-8's pulleys. His body blurred into motion, rocketing forward at impossible speed. The lightning giant turned, eyes wide, hurling bolts as thick as tree trunks. But every strike missed. Ethen was too fast. What's happening? Did Ethen just become a female alien or something? Gwen gasped from afar. Zoom! Ethen skidded to a stop in front of the lightning giant. Simulate, ghost freak. His armor turned lighter, semi-transparent, his form phasing between worlds. Die! The lightning giant roared, launching a thunderbolt. But it passed right through Ethen. He drifted upward, ghost-like, until he hovered above the giant's head. Wah! The giant stammered, firing lasers upward but none hit. At last! Ethan's eyes burned with focus. Give me the power of Heat Blast. Boom! Flames erupted across his body, the armor morphing into a blazing suit of fire. He looked like a flaming tokusatsu hero, unstoppable, heroic, radiant. Fire Fist! He shot forward, landing an explosive uppercut straight into the giant's head. Kaboom! Flames burst outward, scattering arcs of electricity and light fragments across the park. Gwen stared, jaw dropped. That pink watch. I want one too, Ethen. Why could that pink love watch make him look so cool, like a real-life Kamen Rider hero? Man, he actually looks awesome, Ben muttered. Ethen hovered midair, flames flickering around him, grinning. Fighting with your own body. It's the best feeling. And the best part, he could switch states instantly. The love watch was unstoppable. Damn it. The other light creatures struggled to their feet, crackling with electricity again. Simulation Diamond Head. Ethen landed smoothly, raised both hands, and the DNA armor shifted, his arms turning into shining crystalline blades. Bang, bang, bang. Without hesitation, he fired crystal shards in rapid succession. Each beam struck true, knocking the light creatures unconscious one after another. In moments, the entire group was down. Gwen, mission complete. Ethen smirked. Ding. Congratulations, host. Mission complete. Reward, plus 20 points. Ethen. Gwen floated closer, eyes wide with curiosity. Your armor looks so cool. I want to touch it. The Transformer girl squealed shyly, retracting her body from that section of the armor. You can't even touch it. Gwen pouted, tears forming in her eyes. That's unfair. Sorry for the mess. I'll handle cleanup. The manager of the theme park rushed over, bowing repeatedly. Thank you, hero. What a cool hero. Wow, he's like Kamen Rider. What's your name, Mr. Hero? Tourists surrounded him, cheering. Ethen coughed lightly, trying to play it off. I do good deeds anonymously. Gotta run. He leapt away, DNA armor still active, savoring the incredible rush of power. Finally, in a quiet alley. Click. The Transformer girl separated from him, collapsing weakly to the ground. What's wrong? Ethen knelt beside her, worried. Covering the love watch drains my strength. And some of the watch's energy, too. I can only maintain it for a few minutes, she murmured. A few minutes is more than enough. Ethen clenched his fist. Next time, I'll finish faster. All right then. Ethen, Let's fight together again next time. Her eyes shone as she held up her pinky. Next time, Ethan's smile faded slightly. After midnight, the Love Watch's template would disappear. And when that happened, there might not be a next time. After the battle, the amusement park finally returned to peace. Mark led everyone back to the hotel to rest. During the trip, even Ben and Grandpa Max couldn't stop praising Ethen. When I was young, I always wished I had armor like that. Grandpa Max chuckled. Ethen's really something. Max looked at him with genuine admiration. Unrivaled power, multiple Omnitrix forms, and that sleek armor. But the thing he truly envied was that look. No man could resist that kind of style. It's really awesome, but it might be gone tomorrow. Ethen sighed softly, the excitement fading from his face. Dinner time. At dinner, Ethen couldn't help activating the Love Watch again. He summoned the female aliens one by one, letting them experience Earth's food. When it was the Ghost Girl's turn, she ate quietly, then said in her usual cold tone, "Not bad. You were smart enough to let the Transformer Girl fuse with the Love Watch. You're learning how we think." "That's because I understand each of you," Ethen replied firmly. The Ghost Girl froze for a second, a faint blush creeping across her pale face. Maybe she'd misunderstood his meaning. Ethen quickly coughed. "I meant your abilities, not that." The air grew awkwardly quiet. "I'm done eating," the Ghost Girl said at last, wiping her mouth with a napkin. Ethen lifted his wrist, about to tap the watch and return her to it, when she suddenly stopped him. "Wait," he blinked. "You want another Coke?" "I need to brush my teeth first," she said matter-of-factly, floating into the bathroom. After brushing, she returned, tapped the screen herself, and disappeared back into the watch. Ethen exhaled softly. "Hope I'll see you again." A faint, refreshing fragrance lingered in the air. Midnight. When the night fell silent, Ethen lay awake, staring at the ceiling until the clock struck 12. Ding! The host's Love Watch, initial version, has expired. Do you want to permanently include it in the ability pool? Ethen froze. How much? He braced himself. Something that powerful had to cost a fortune. It had to be even more expensive than the ultimate or fully evolved Omnitrix. Love Watch, initial version, 150 reward points. Ethen nearly fell out of bed. What? Only 150 points? That's it. The Love Watch is only in its initial state. Host. Future upgrades or evolved versions will require additional points. The system's tone was calm and precise. So this was just the starter version, affordable now, with room to grow later. Ethen thought back to the DNA armor. The thrill of fighting in sync with the alien. The power, the partnership, it all felt right. He clenched his jaw and made his decision. Buy it. Not because he liked the female aliens, but because it looked damn cool. Ding. Congratulations. The Love Watch, initial version, has been permanently added to your ability pool. A grin spread across Ethen's face. He thought of the Ghost Girl and the Transformer Girl again. He'd be using them plenty from now on, in battle, of course. System. Open my personal panel. Host, Ethen. Physique. Peak human level. Spirit. Excellent. Genetic type. Human, resistant to alien DNA. Skills. Mixed martial arts, firearm precision. Ability pool. Fully leveled Omnitrix, Gen 1, Love Watch, initial version. Reward points, 25. Only 25 points left, but totally worth it. All right, let's pull today's Omnitrix template. Ding! Congratulations, host. You've received the original Omnitrix Glitched Edition. Warning, due to excessive slapping by a certain Ben Tennyson, this Omnitrix occasionally malfunctions. It may refuse to transform, or transform automatically. Handle with caution. Ethen's face twitched. Seriously? A glitched Omnitrix? Damn you, alternate universe Ben. He clenched his fists in frustration. System, replace this template with. He stopped mid-sentence. If memory served, Kevin was coming next. Kevin, the DNA-absorbing Osmosion. If that guy ever touched alien energy again. Ethen's expression darkened. Just imagining it made his blood boil. Fine. I want the full-level version of the original Omnitrix. He wasn't about to let Kevin or Vilgax or anyone get the upper hand. Let them come. He had 2 watches now, and one of them could fight beside him. Flash. The Omnitrix on his wrist solidified into its classic green form. Ethen smiled, satisfied, and finally drifted off to sleep. Meanwhile, deep space. Aboard a dark warship above the Milky Way, Vilgax watched the replay of Ethen defeating the lightning giant. He wasn't angry. He was inspired. A burning flame of ambition reflected in his crimson eyes. Lord Vilgax, one of his subordinates, asked nervously, "Should we continue monitoring him?" "Monitor him. Challenge him. Let him grow stronger." Vilgax clenched his massive fists. "He will become the rival that drives me to greatness." "From now on," Vilgax declared, voice echoing through the ship, "Ethen is my sworn enemy." Back on Earth, New York City, a black-haired boy in torn clothes picked up a $10 bill from the sidewalk. He laughed, grinning ear to ear. I knew today was going to be lucky. Tomorrow, too. Kevin Levin's luck never lies. Welcome to New York. In downtown New York City stood a 4-star luxury hotel. Parked right in front was an old-fashioned RV that looked hilariously out of place among the expensive cars. Grandpa Max led the way inside, handing the room reservation form to the receptionist with practiced ease. Ethen looked around curiously, while Gwen pointed at the wall with excitement. "Wow, this hotel has a buffet, swimming pool, sauna, and even a spa. This is awesome." "That sounds good," Ethen said, taking a deep breath. The air inside the hotel felt crisp and fresh. "Whoa, they're hosting a Sumo Slammers press conference. They'll have the latest gaming consoles and a new Sumo Slammers game, too." Ben's eyes lit up the moment he saw the sign. He ran toward the event hall, only to be stopped by a tall, muscular security guard. "Invitation," the guard demanded. "I'm an expert at Sumo Slammers. You guys invited me," Ben said confidently, making it up on the spot. Naturally, the guard didn't buy it and threw him out without hesitation. "Man, that guy's so rude. No matter how tough he thinks he is, he's nothing compared to an alien hero." Ben grumbled as he walked back to the group. Ethen shrugged. "Ben, did you already forget what you promised me? I wasn't going to mess with the Omnitrix. I just wanted to teach that jerk a lesson." Ben argued. Why was it that every time Ben got into trouble, it always had something to do with Sumo Slammers? Ethen sighed and said calmly, "Ben, if you want to use the Omnitrix, go ahead. But remember, every time you lose control, you betray all the times you've managed to hold back." "Geez, that's so dramatic. I've only been holding back for a few days," Ben muttered, scratching his head. Before he could say more, Grandpa Max had already checked them into their room. Once they settled in, Ben finally started to calm down. "Done," Ethen said with a satisfied grin. He'd successfully stopped Ben from getting them kicked out again. But then, Ethen stood up. "Grandpa, I'm going downstairs to check out the restaurant's menu." "Ben, Gwen, see you later." He left the room, slipped through the lobby, and quietly exited the hotel. In the original timeline, it was Ben's reckless Omnitrix use that got them thrown out of the hotel. After being scolded, he'd stormed off to an arcade, where he met Kevin Levin for the first time. But this time, Ethen planned to change the story. He wanted to meet Kevin himself. "Hey, Ethen, you think we didn't notice you sneaking off for an adventure?" Ben's voice rang out from behind. Ethen turned to see both Ben and Gwen jogging toward him. Gwen sighed, pretending to be annoyed, but secretly, she was amused. "This doofus has a sixth sense for trouble," she whispered. "Fine, let's go together," Ethen said, helplessly rubbing his temples. The three walked through the busy streets, wandering aimlessly while looking for the arcade. Then, a group of thugs suddenly rushed into a nearby gaming arcade, shouting furiously. "Kevin Levin's in there. He's juiced up again, knocked out half our crew. This time, he's not getting away." The sounds of fighting and a boy's angry shout echoed from inside. "Those jerks!" Ben clenched his fists, fuming. Ethen's face hardened. Ding! Mission triggered. Master of Mixed Martial Arts, Ethen. Objective: stop the gang harassing Kevin Levin using your fighting skills. Reward: 15 points. Ethen twitched slightly. 15 points? Guess Kevin's worth something. I can't just stand here, Ben said, ready to rush in. Ben, wait. Gwen stopped him. There are too many people around. You can't transform here. Ben gritted his teeth. But Ethen took off his coat and tossed it toward him. Hold this, he said calmly. Ben caught the coat, stunned, as Ethen walked past them. His steady, confident stride carried the weight of someone who didn't need powers to be dangerous. I'll handle this, he said over his shoulder. Inside the arcade, customers had already fled. A handful of thugs were beating up a teenager in the corner, Kevin. Hey, beat a kid, one of them barked. This doesn't concern you. Ethen didn't respond. The thug snarled and swung an iron rod at him. Whoosh. Ethen sidestepped, slammed his knee into the man's chest. Thud. The thug's eyes rolled back, and he collapsed instantly. The others froze for a moment before charging at him with weapons raised. Ethen didn't flinch. He let one of their rods strike his chest, absorbed perfectly by the advanced combat suit he wore. What, did just bounce off? Is he even human? Before they could recover, Ethen moved. He punched one square in the jaw, spun the fallen iron rod in his hands, and unleashed a blur of short-stick techniques. Each move precise, efficient, and brutal. One by one, the thugs fell to the ground. Kevin, bruised and dazed, watched in awe from the corner. Bang, bang, bang. In less than a minute, the entire gang was down. Ding. Mission complete. Reward, 15 points. Ethen exhaled, wiped the sweat from his brow, and turned to Kevin. You okay? He asked coolly. Kevin stared at him, his eyes wide. Kung Fu, he muttered, then suddenly dropped to his knees, bowing deeply. I want to learn from you. Please be my master. Ethen froze for a moment. What? He muttered under his breath. Kevin Levin wanted him as a master. Stop that nonsense. I'm 12 years old. How could I possibly take a disciple? Ethen glared down at Kevin, who was still kneeling on the floor, forehead pressed to the ground. Kevin sniffled, eyes brimming with tears as he clutched at Ethen's leg. Please, master, teach me. I don't want to be bullied anymore. The pitiful look might have melted Ben's heart instantly, but not Ethen's. He knew Kevin Levin was a troublemaker to the core. I said no. Ethen snapped, pulling his leg free. I don't take disciples, got it? Hey man, what are you doing? Ben called as he and Gwen ran up. Your snot's about to get on his pants, Gwen muttered, pulling Kevin back by the collar. Kevin still refused to let go, eyes wide and desperate. I think you don't really want to be my student, Ethen said dryly. You just want to get rid of us. Come on, let's go. Wait, at least let me thank you. Kevin said quickly. He ran to an arcade cabinet, placed his hand on it, and released a surge of electricity. BZZT clatter. Coins spilled out from the slot like a waterfall. Ben's eyes went wide. Whoa, you got powers too. Ethen and Gwen both covered their faces. Oh great, he just gave away the secret. What? Kevin's face lit up. You got powers too, huh? You're a kung fu master or something. Yeah, totally, Ben said, still trying to recover. We're super awesome. Kevin immediately dropped to his knees in front of him. Brother, please, teach me. If someone helps me control my powers, I'll never do bad things again. Ben puffed up proudly. You got it. I'll help you. Ethen sighed. Kevin had just played Ben like a fiddle. Ben, Ethen said sternly, we need to head back soon. Grandpa's waiting, and we leave tomorrow. I just want to stop by my base with Ben. It won't take long, promise, Kevin said, putting on the world's most pitiful face. Oh boy, Gwen muttered. Ben folded his arms. Fine, let's go. I'll make you stronger, bro. And just like that, the two of them walked off, arms slung around each other. Ethen, Gwen tugged on Ethen's sleeve, worried. Are we seriously letting them just go? Relax, Gwen, Ethen said calmly. Ben's fired up right now. If I interfere, it'll just make things worse. I'll keep an eye on them and step in if things go south. He smiled faintly. Besides, I'm curious how many quests Kevin can trigger. Then his eyes darkened slightly. Maybe it's time Ben learned a little about how dangerous people can really be. A soft flash of light shimmered over him, and in an instant, Ethen vanished like a shadow. Gwen swallowed hard. Watching him disappear in a thin air always gave her chills. If Kevin finds out Ethan's right behind him, he'd probably die of fear, she whispered. Then realization hit her. Wait, those two just ditched me. Grandpa's gonna ask where they are, ugh. She stomped her foot, then bolted after them. A short while later, in a dark, cluttered basement filled with broken arcade machines and stolen electronics, a red-skinned alien with 4 massive arms stood over Kevin. The forearm stance was solid. Textbook Muay Thai. Got it? This is called Muay Thai. Power comes from your hips and shoulders. Ben has 4 arms, said proudly. I think I got it, Kevin said, awkwardly copying the motion. Not bad, but your form's off. Here, let me show you. Forearm stepped forward to correct him. Zap! Kevin's hand brushed against him, and a spark of energy jumped between them. Kevin smiled faintly. Guess I picked it up faster than I thought. Good work, Forearm said, completely oblivious. You learn quick. Yeah, real quick, Kevin muttered, trying not to grin. As the red light of the Omnitrix flickered over him, Kevin's skin began to harden, mimicking Forearm's tough hide. He'd stolen Ben's DNA. This time, Kevin whispered, flexing his new muscles, no one's ever pushing me around again. I wouldn't be so sure about that. A calm voice echoed through the basement. Kevin froze. He turned around to see Ethen walking out of the shadows, eyes sharp. You've got murder in your eyes, Kevin, Ethen said flatly. You sure you're learning to defend yourself, not to hurt others? Kevin feigned confusion. Ben, what's your buddy talking about? Hey, Ethen, don't be so paranoid, Forearms crossing his arms. Kevin's a good guy, but the moment Forearms walked past him, crack, Kevin's elbow smashed into Forearms' ribs. The alien let out a pained roar and fell to his knees. Kevin what? Forearms gasped, stunned. Kevin sneered. Sorry, bro, Ethan's right. You both saw too much. He clenched his fists, his newly absorbed power glowing. I'm done being weak. People only respect strength, so I'll take it for myself. You fool, Forearms growled, clutching his side. I taught you to protect yourself, not to hurt people. Kevin kicked him hard, sending him crashing into the wall. Ethen stepped forward, his tone cool. Ben tried to help you, and this is how you repay him. Kevin laughed. You think I care? I'll crush both of you. Forearms groaned, slowly deactivating the Omnitrix. Kevin, don't make him fight you. Oh, you're gonna have to. Kevin smirked. Kevin, Ethen said softly. Ben was worried about you, and you repay him with betrayal. He lifted his wrist, the Omnitrix symbol glowing bright green. Guess it's time for your lesson. KRRC Chhgay. With a flash of green light, Ethen transformed into a bulky, armored alien surrounded by crackling energy. Shock rock. Forearms gasped from the floor. Ding. Mission triggered. Kevin's path of crime. Objective. Kevin Levin has turned against Ben. Teach him a lesson. Never underestimate anyone. Reward. 15 points. Shock Rock's visor gleamed as he squared up to Kevin. Anything else you want to say? Ethen asked, voice cold and robotic. Kevin's eyes narrowed, electricity arcing around him. Yeah, I'm gonna beat you down too. Bang, bang, bang. Kevin charged at Shock Rock with everything he had. Shock Rock's body suddenly curled into a golden armored ball and rolled across the floor like a wheel, sparks flying from the friction. Damn it. Kevin sensed something was wrong and tried to dodge. Boom. Shock Rock bounced high and slammed into Kevin, sending him flying. Kevin's body, like a kite with a snapped string, crashed hard at the very edge of the base. He coughed, blood at the corner of his mouth. Shock twisted his face. How can the gap be this huge? Damn it. Keep going, Ethen. Forearm shouted. Shock Rock's expression stayed cold as he rolled again, slamming into Kevin with brutal, frantic blows. Kevin rose, fell, staggered up, and fell again, helpless. If Ethen had activated his old war form or used transforming armor, Kevin would already be torn apart. Forearms observed quietly. In the end, it was still Ethen who cleaned up the mess. Don't underestimate me. Kevin pushed himself up and this time unleashed terrifying electric currents from his hands. The bolt struck Shock Rock's armored shell, but Shock Rock ignored them and smashed Kevin down again. Bang! Kevin hit the ground, features contorted in pain. His body shifted rapidly, His form altered, becoming a scrawny mirror of Shockrock's armor. He glared and growled. "Now I'm you. What will you use to suppress me?" Shockrock sighed, helpless. "You really are beyond saving. It's infuriating that someone this weak is so stubbornly durable." Durable? Kevin's face twitched. He clenched his fists. "Let's see who hits whom next." He curled into a ball and lunged. The two armored spheres met. Boom! At impact, Kevin seemed to defy gravity, launched like a missile and slammed into the base wall. He knelt there, stunned. He couldn't believe how strong Ethen, no, how strong Shockrock was. "This next move will kill you," Shockrock warned coldly, stopping his roll for a second. "Pray you survive." Boom! He hurtled forward again, turning his body into a pinball, crashing through the underground base. Each collision damaged the structure. With every rebound, Shockrock's speed and force built until he was a streak of golden lightning, smashing through corridors. Kevin's throat tightened. He stared at the blur charging him and felt his legs go weak. "I can't block this," he whispered. A heartbeat later, Shockrock launched off a wall, became a golden streak in the air, and struck Kevin full force. Kevin's face contorted, his body deformed, then smashed through the wall and fell into the subway tracks. His alien DNA started to decay. His scrawny, human form lay exposed. "Cough. No, don't kill me, Ethen," Kevin pleaded, looking at the young man who had subdued him twice already. Ding! A cheerful system voice broke the momentary silence. "Congratulations to the host for completing the mission. The host has received 15 reward points." As expected, Kevin's trouble had been worth points. "Kill him? He's worth points. I'm a little reluctant." Shockrock reached out and grabbed Kevin by the throat, grinning. Killing Kevin would limit future template progress points. Not killing him made more sense. Ethen, forearms snarled, rushing forward, teeth bared. "I can hear sirens. The commotion must be drawing attention. Let's go. If this guy causes trouble again, I'll personally take care of him." A flicker of clarity left Forearm's eyes, replaced by raw ruthlessness. Shockrock shrugged, loosening his grip. Kevin collapsed to the floor, gasping, heart pounding. He was saved. Beep, beep, beep. The subway lights swept across Kevin as the train approached. Good luck, Kevin." Shockrock laughed and left with Forearms. Back at the hotel, Grandpa Max eyed Ethen and Ben warily. Both were sweating, their clothes disheveled. "You too." Max hesitated, then used the nearest English name. "Gwen said you two went out to play games. How did you end up like this?" "The game was intense, Grandpa," Ethen said with a straight face. "Forget it. Let's enjoy the 4-star hotel." Gwen stretched, already eager. That day the three of them enjoyed the comforts of the hotel, tasting the feeling of being rich. It was midnight when his daily template expired. Ethen lay on the bed and spoke to the system in his head. System, claim today's Omnitrix template. He had 2 guaranteed options, one for fighting, one for summoning, but the daily draw was always important. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully claiming the Omnitrix template. The Omnitrix template obtained is Fusion Watch. Fusion Watch. This is a unique Omnitrix variant similar to the dual wrist devices seen in Omniverse. It features Omnitrixes on both wrists and allows cross-fusion. However, remember, you are not the original owner. Some overly powerful aliens may be difficult to control. Ethen flipped off the bed and took several deep breaths. Golden Legend, this was big. Who would he face tomorrow? No matter. He raised his chin. Claim it, he said. Tomorrow I'll hunt down the Love Watch alien ladies again. Omnitrix devices appeared on both his wrists. The Fusion Dual Watches had debuted. Far away, in the Milky Way aboard a warship, a cultivation pod hissed open. Vilgax emerged, towering and domineering, heading toward the training room without looking back. A subordinate reported, "Lord Vilgax, our robots have been tracking Ethen for a day. He defeated another Earth rival. We've collected that person's data." Why collect data on those Earth pests? When I finish my training, it will be Ethen's death day, Vilgax said arrogantly. Still, he ordered, send more robots to gather his combat data. I want to understand him. Strategically, Vilgax despised Ethen. Tactically, he took him very seriously.
Hello, everyone. As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500-plus novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.